hi.
How's it going? Oh, I'm actually doing the intro. Welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast, where America's taking over, as it should be.
Oh,
God.
no.
This is no longer Canadian.
Not this again. Hey, you know what happened last time you tried to cross us, right?
You guys apologized?
Well, we burned the White House.
Yeah, whatever.
And then we apologized.
I apologize for invading your podcast, but this is our North America. Thank you.
Yeah,
make
you can
this
go with that.
podcast great again.
I am Console Kev. That is Josh from Powercore Gaming. That is JD from Motion Spin. I'm pointing and you guys aren't even in the room with me.
It's totally fine.
Welcome back. How are you guys doing?
Man, I'm good. I've just woke up like 20 minutes ago, and it's only 1:20, and yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Moose?
I'm doing well. Just got back from a very long business trip to the territories out west. None of it Northwestern. Hanging out in Fort McMurray. Flew in late last night. Played a bunch of first-person shooters, and had a bowling tournament this morning.
Man, I bet that all really burned you out.
Yeah, I'm a little jet lagged and whatnot, but I managed to do just well enough to blow it in the last frame of the bowling tournament this morning. Yeah, guy comes up to me in the third frame and he goes, "All you need is 240 to win." I go, "Oh, okay, whatever."
Only good.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever bowled a 240 in my life.
I didn't know the numbers.
So I'm like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. And I needed to strike out in the 10th frame. I had 4 before that, and I got 1 and then blew it after that. So I lost by 2 pins to the second place guy and 3 pins to the first place guy. So good old solid third place yet again continues in my bowling trends.
Well, I mean, hey, at least you're trending. Right? You keep it consistent.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've been working on is consistency, and I mean I'm winning money. That's what matters.
It's not bad then.
What I'm not winning money at is playing first person shooters.
Well, you can't be good at everything.
Well, I mean, some of them I did pretty good at. Others, let's not talk about the others.
Oh boy. Well, I do have a bone to pick with you guys about the games we picked.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Fine.
Although I
I'd say it was a pun, but I can't really think of any of the games we play that really focused on puns.
No. Do maybe?
Well, maybe.
There's a lot of bones involved actually in these games with the way the characters die,
Fair.
the sprites.
Fair.
But I noticed that a lot of the games were made by the same company, or at least 3 of them, at least out of the same engine.
1, 2, 3. Well, yeah, 3 of them were made by the same company, and then 3 of them were produced by the same people.
Okay.
And then the 4th one was made in the same engine.
That was by complete accident and not my thinking at all.
Yeah, no, it's funny because we all chose at least one of them.
I know. I was just sitting there, like, what do you want for a topic? I'm like,
just you guys.
I was like, old shooters. I was like,
guys.
wait, there's like one company for that, damn it. Like,
yeah.
Well, that was interesting as we were coming out, as we were picking games, like, wow, this is a lot harder because first-person shooters really didn't hit it off until, mid-2000s. Because a lot of the games started coming out late. Yeah.
2000s, yeah.
So it was kind of hard to go retro on these.
What's funny is nobody picked GoldenEye.
Nobody did.
Nobody picked GoldenEye.
No one picked Perfect Dark.
Yeah. I just thought of that. I'm like, wow, we went over the one that everyone like jumps to when they talk about like first person shooters on a console.
Well, to be fair, GoldenEye is unplayable today. It looks like garbage.
Hey.
Well, I mean, so are half of these ones. Come on.
Well, okay. Well, I'm hearing all this nonsense and obscenities right now and blasphemy. I don't believe you.
If you're going to play GoldenEye, just get a GameCube.
If you're going to play GoldenEye, you should probably find something else to do because it's a bad time.
Yeah. Are you that bored that you have to play GoldenEye now?
The thing is, not to delve too into it, but like nobody talks about Perfect Dark, and that is a way better game by the same company, and you can like do more in it. Like you don't have to have friends around; you could do bots if you wanted. Like it's a shame.
Well, in all fairness, Rare could really do nothing wrong when they were in their prime.
Yeah, this is true.
They could burp out a game and they would be just fine.
Well, they did that. It was called Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. So we saw what happens when that happened.
Well, that was after the acquisition.
That's after their prime.
Prime is subjective.
We're talking. Yeah, we're talking more like along the lines of Conker's Bad Fur Day, Donkey Kong Country, those good old games. Not definitely not Jet Force Gemini.
Oh, come on, I was just going to say Jet Force Gemini. I like that.
I know you were about to say it, so I had to cut you off real quick.
I love that game.
Me and Josh are both in pretty much agreement on that game.
That game's...
Hate that
The
game.
game's good.
No, it isn't. Well, it is. It is, but it's a pain in the ass.
It definitely has design flaws, I won't lie, but...
It's a massive pain.
Fair.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't call the dog Lupus either. That was kind of messed up.
Yeah, that's called Robo Dog Wolf.
Oh boy. So what have you guys been up to this past week? Past couple weeks, actually.
Well, I'm still on the whole cold winter layoff bandwagon, so I decided to start Tales of Symphonia, and that game is pretty much a plot ripoff of Final Fantasy X from the first half of it, and then and then when
Didn't Symphonia come out before it though?
Well, Symphonia, I don't know. The GameCube PS2. I'd have to look up the dates.
Well, anyways.
I'm and then when I thought the game was gonna end, it was just wrong. You only at the first third of the game. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay. And then
congratulations. Here's the title sequence.
Yeah, it kind of just slapped me in the face. I've been doing that. I've been recording it, and
oh yeah, you play 2 hours in, then it just goes prologue over.
Yeah, no, it's one of those. I do like that because I'm a big fan of turn-based RPGs, but I kind of like how Tales does the whole you go in a little arena and actually real-time fight it out thing. And I never had that really.
Interesting. Really like the Tales games for that reason. Now, speaking of Tales, are you looking into getting Tales of Berseria?
So I played Tales of Symphonia, and then I was like, I like these. I'm going to get all of them. So I got the Zillias, the Graces of F. I got Zestiria, and then Berseria came out, and I was ready to get it. I was like, but Horizon Zero Dawn's coming out, so hold on, Kevin.
That is a much better choice.
Yeah.
Actually, on Steam, it dropped $20 after a week after release.
I heard it wasn't the best Tales game, but I mean, I don't know. I wait for honeymoon periods of games to be over a lot lately now because everyone gets so strong feelings when the game comes out, and then a month or two after we start seeing their real feelings. Right now I'm seeing everyone was calling the new Zelda 10 out of 10. Now everyone's the weapon durability kind of sucks. I hate that there's no music. I'm oh, so it's not a 10. So now your feelings are coming out, So
you guys heard about the one dude who gave it a 7 out of 10 and just got ostracized online, right?
Yeah, Jim Sterling.
Yeah.
But cry about it. It's an reviews are opinions, unfortunately. They're not objective. So
no.
Yeah.
How dare you have an opinion different from me?
You hate Zelda, but everyone loves Zelda. You suck. And he didn't even say it was bad. It's just it was okay.
It has its
drawbacks.
flaws.
There's definitely drawbacks. I agree with you with the
no games in 10
durability. No games in 10. That's why I don't hype up games anymore because look at for instance For Honor.
Oh, I can't. I knew that was gonna be ass.
That game was awesome. The game was amazing. It was incredible. It was super fun. The combat was super amazing. All this stuff. But 2 weeks after its release, over 68% of its fan base is gone.
Yeah,
because you're already done with all the hype and since there's no story mode at all, pretty much.
No, there is. Story mode's not that bad actually. But the
can't you go through it in an hour though?
No, I mean you can go through it. You go through it relatively quickly, but the problem was their servers were peer to peer. They're not dedicated. They weren't really great. Yeah, they were dedicated servers, so they're peer to peer. So there's a lot of connection issues. You know what they did to try to correct those connection issues, which they did, by the way. They took away maps.
Oh, that'll always make people happy.
Yeah, so good job, Ubisoft. You fucking did
I just got a problem with buying a game that'll be inevitably a paperweight one day because once that game nobody's playing it or they shut down servers,
Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, no, there's a campaign at least. There's a campaign.
That's more like what's going to happen to the console versions of Overwatch.
Well, no, Overwatch you can play AI, so it's
Overwatch
something.
is a little different.
But,
you can?
Which is actually,
Oh, I never knew that.
But
Overwatch is different though because they're like an arena-based first-person shooter, kind of like Unreal Tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because I play the PC version of Overwatch almost religiously with a few of my other friends. The metas in those games, and I thought this was incredible. The metas between PC and console are totally different. There's Blizzard will release patches for PC and then console.
Interesting.
They're never the same.
I remember a game I really liked for the PS3. It was called Warhawk.
I love that game.
But it was online only, and as soon as the community went away, I was really sad.
It was a wasteland. And the thing is, you can't rely on online communities because, one of my favorite games on PS4, Killzone Shadowfall, I love it, but nobody's online. Luckily, it has a bot zone, so I can play that once I beat the campaign. But I'll play bot zone. I don't care. I love it.
kind of like that one game as well. That what was it again? You played teams of 4 and you had to verse the monster. Was it Evolve?
Oh, Evolve. Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, I mean that was a great idea, but it's just there wasn't anything to it.
You see a lot of this this kind of trend growing with games coming out. They're just online only, and then once the servers go down, forget it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Either they have online only, or their story modes or campaigns are very they're very poor.
It's very much a PC only, because that's the only way the game's going to have any sort of longevity.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Kinda. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the more people take games more. I find people take games more seriously when it comes down to their PC, because you got to think about it this way: on your PC, you have access to your internet, you have access, like I said, so social media, YouTube, which I guess could be considered social media.
It is.
In our cases, we have our I guess we can call them our workstation. We have Adobe Premiere, Audition, Photoshop, all that crazy stuff. Discord, where you can talk to all your friends. You have all your games already. You don't even have to move. Whereas console, you have to. Like in my instance, I have it hooked up to my TV, so I have to switch inputs to go to my PS4. And I know it's a little minor first world issue, but like now I'm cut off. Now I'm cut off from all the things that I have. I have to use. I can't check my Facebook right away, which is a big deal to a lot of people. I really don't care all that much. But then I have like a different group of friends that I have on PS4 than I do on PC.
Well, I think the online longevity of a game on PC is easier just because you don't have a console lifespan. So, Counter-Strike's still going because, like, I had to, like, there's a new PC out, guys. Like, we can't play this anymore. So, like, I'd be more willing to buy an online-only game on PC than, like, just on a console. Because once that console's dead, like, nobody's playing World at War online anymore, which I wish they were. It's the best Call of Duty.
The only thing good for World at War is the zombie mode.
The MP40 was so good. I love that game.
Well, Josh, what have you been playing these past couple weeks? In your free time, not for
in my free time, I my friends have really got me back into League of Legends, which is really upsetting because I don't want to play the game. I hate it so much. So I've been playing a lot of League of Legends.
Nice.
I can't stand this. I'm playing a game I hate, but I need friends.
That's how everyone talks about League of Legends. That's the thing.
It's honestly for me it's the addiction to, I guess, competition. It feels great to just go and compete and then just, if you can, which doesn't happen a lot for me, just whoop ass. So it feels nice. I have the Switch, so I've been playing Legend of Zelda's Breath of the Wild.
Are you done?
Am I done?
Come on, you could speedrun it in 6 minutes apparently.
That's great, except for the fact that I'm the kind of person like, oh, I'm gonna go check this out here. Oh, but there's a range of mountains. I wonder what's at the top there. Oh, but it's raining, so I gotta wait. Oh, but so I've taken I've plugged in, I think, almost close to 40 hours, and I only have one of the beasts beaten.
Only one, okay. So it's like 20% of the game. It's a very slow go. And I'm playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14. I'm actually trying to run a free company on that with some friends, and so far it's turning out pretty well. Alrighty.
So that's what I've been doing.
I brought my Switch with me on the trip. Forgot the AC adapter.
Ooh. Oh. So you got like a whole 15 minutes out of it.
I got 2.5 hours out of Zelda on the plane, and as soon as turbulence hits, the Switch falls over. Because the kickstand's only on one side, it's not in the middle.
Yes, that's true. But what about, couldn't you use your 3DS charger for it?
No. USB-C.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So I had this whole plan where, because I've been holding off. I have the 4 beasts done. I have enough hearts. I have all these items. I was like, okay, I'm going on this big trip out west. I'm gonna save off on going to Ganon. Excuse me. And just beat it in the hotel. Be very happy. It'll be really nice. And then as I'm on the plane, I just realized, because a lot of the WestJet flights have adapters.
Yep.
So I'm looking in my bag for the adapter, and I can't find it. I'm like, oh no. I grabbed my Vita adapter instead.
That's a sign from the universe. You should have brought a Vita.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, I've been hooked. I was hooked on World of Final Fantasy for quite some time.
Smart move.
And I was like, okay, I want to beat Zelda, and I want to go through Dragon Quest V. Those were my 2 goals on this trip. So I purposely didn't bring the Vita for that reason. But once the Switch died, I was, I guess I gotta just play a bunch of Dragon Quest V.
Nice. Are
And-
you doing the Splatoon Global Test Fire this weekend?
I certainly should, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you probably should.
Even though
considering-
I already like the game and I know I'm getting it now that
Well-
that I know that there's a single player campaign.
Yeah, there's like a beta test going on. So yeah, you should. Also, I did end up getting Super Bomberman R when I went. The game shop that I went to had one copy.
Oh boy,
Hmm.
It's a fun game, isn't it?
No, it's super fun. I haven't beat the first boss yet, but you know.
The AI okay. I have a lot of fun with the game, Bomberman. I love the just stupid quote unquote story mode that they have in it.
Yeah, no, they I like the personality they added to a lot of the characters.
I'm actually,
Yeah, I mean it's not so much a campaign as it's just a romp through levels.
Yeah,
The two drawbacks I have with Super Bomberman R is the AI is way too smart. Even
Oh my
on
God.
the easiest difficulty, it's legit impossible to kill one of them.
I refuse to play on anything but normal. That's why I get my ass kicked all the time.
I'm getting my ass handed to me on easy, and it's just ridiculous. The AI is way too smart. So I hope they fix that. I went easy, normal, hard, and it all seems like the same difficulty to me.
I think they just move a little quicker. I think that's the only difference.
I don't know. It's hard.
Is it actually something worth buying? Though, 'Cause,
Yes.
like,
I would say so.
yes.
I hear everyone's like,
It's-
it's okay, but like, wait till it's like $10.
Think about it this way: it's one of the cheaper games that is out for the Switch right now. That's really good for multiplayer.
It's fantastic for multiplayer. The other problem I have is the map choices. You really got to unlock through this in-game currency. But
Yeah, I'm
the
already
amount
out of
of
coins.
the amount of maps aren't too diverse compared to past Bomberman games. But it's still a ton of fun. I do love it.
Yeah. I tried playing it with Alec, and we had to come up with a rule where you're not allowed to take more than 4 firepower because they literally became, no pun intended, too explosive to try to control. We ended up killing each other more than we ended up killing the enemies.
The only thing I
Well,
saw
that's-
in that I hated is that you can free walk in that, right? Like, you're not locked to 8 directions.
No.
See, I feel like that's like a game where you should be locked because like everything's so grid based, and I feel like it'd be hard to move or something like that.
Well, they have like this. They have like a system where you could be on. You could like kind of step into the certain grid, but it'll still register you on the one you're supposed to be on. So they have something like that.
Okay.
But then, like for the first, I've only done the first boss fight, and I've got my ass kicked at the second phase. But it's like a free roam thing. You got to put your bombs down, to try to beat this spider mech, and it is freaking hard, man. Especially when you try not to die throughout the whole time, because if you die, you got to start it all over again.
So it's really old school difficulty.
Or you just use your coins to revive your live count.
Microtransactions.
I have already used my coins.
Oh, Bummer Town. No, the only way I'm able to beat any boss is if I just kamikaze him.
It's not a bad plan.
But
I
I
ended up,
immediately lose a life in that case.
Oh.
What I've done was I abused the throwing and the kicking power to beat the magnet boss, man.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
I abused the shit out of it. When I discovered that you could throw a bomb off of one edge and have it go towards the other side, I kicked the shit out of people.
I mean, you're playing single player. If you're gonna spam to win, I mean, nobody's there to punish you, but yourself. I say go for it.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So, is anybody else trying to complete any past games like me with Dragon Quest V that we played for the podcast?
I beat Shovel Knight again because why not?
I actually did too. I got a little burned out on Dragon Quest, and I beat Shovel Knight one more time.
Well, I'm in this weird area. So like I think I told you guys before, but we do like a game of the month club, and like we had Jack and Daxter. So like because I'm not like working right now, I'm like, oh, I'll beat it, and I did it in like a week. But now I'm in this zone of like, okay, we picked our next game, but it's not April yet. So like, do I start that now? Do I not? So I'm like sitting there, I'm like,
Screw it, start it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll take a break from Tales of Symphonia, but I'm like, what do I play? Like, and I'm just sitting there because like games like now like have these giant tutorials and like an intro level. You can't just really jump into something new. So like I'm just like, I'll just play Crash Bandicoot or something. Like turn it on real quick, and it's like hard because like I wanna like look at all these games behind me. I'm like, what's gonna be a 20-minute intro before I can actually play? So I'm like,
For real.
I don't know, man.
I tried. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually for the channel, I'm still doing slowly collection videos.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna save Xenoblade Chronicles X last so I can actually kind of more or less dive into the game. No chance. You need at least 4 or 5 hours just to get a good feel for the game.
I mean, RPGs, I expect that, but like I can't even play like I saw you guys started God of War. I was watching it before we started this. Like God of War has like a little intro sequence. You're like, I just want to play. I wish like games had like a skip this thing option. You know, at least after you beat it the first time.
I know there's a few games that have that option. Just like, hey, have you done this before? Yep. Okay, here you go.
Like I'd love to play Uncharted 4's campaign again, but like, I gotta do like sit through like the beginning. I'm just like, I just want to shoot stuff, please.
Or you could play Uncharted 2 or 3, which is better.
I've played them all. 2 is the best though, no doubt.
Yeah, it still is. Or Rise of the Tomb Raider.
I have not touched the Tomb Raider reboots or any Tomb Raider in my life.
Oh, they're so good. I actually recently bought the original Tomb Raider for the Sega Saturn.
I get the Wii remake. I should play that one. It's probably terrible.
The original.
I have them on my
funny.
Xbox One, but I'm trying to sell it. So
why so?
Why sell it? Because I don't use it. I mean, the only thing that's on it is first-person shooter games, and we are about to find out how I feel about those.
Oh,
you know what? That is a great segue.
I see what
brought
you did
to
here.
Brought to us by who, Josh?
This has been brought to us by Coca-Cola.
No,
Sprite?
a different drink.
I can't think of anything right now, man.
There's a certain tea company.
There's David's Tea.
There we go.
Downtown Toronto.
Jesus,
Mr. Cheese Tea.
what's wrong with you?
Hey, man, I've been up for 41 minutes. All right.
I think he's got it down to the minute though. That's good for him.
I mean, I woke up at 1.
Oh,
so
well,
there we
never
go.
mind.
Yeah, this is the Red Leaf Retrocast. We're brought to you by David's Tea, located in downtown Toronto on Queen Street, and a number of other locations. And once this podcast is over, you can bet your ass I'm going to make my life very relaxed by drinking it.
Oh, yeah, you better.
And then maybe tonight I'll get a little drunk off some certain type of gin, maybe.
Yeah, New Amsterdam. I'm going to go get some more of that. I have a game night later on. Mostly consists of 3 hours of Overwatch and then 4 hours of Tabletop Simulator. And that's right.
Tabletop Simulator.
It's awesome, man. You should, if you guys don't have that, you should check it out. It's awesome. You've never. Okay, I'll have to tell you about that during the break.
Well, okay, that's great. Let's dive into our first game. What do you guys say?
That's
okay.
Great, but I have to tell about Tabletop Sim.
Tabletop
first.
Simulator.
It's
all right.
It's
Just go for it then, real quick.
It's honestly something.
is this?
It's a program off Steam that you can get, and you can play anything on it. You can play Uno. You can play fucking Cards Against Humanity. You can play Risk if you can find a good Risk board for it. You can do any type of tabletop game, even like D&D, on this thing. It's awesome. I think it's like $15 or $20, but it's worth it because you can play like anything you could think of.
So you can play your video games to play your board games.
Yeah, no, it's like you can play with people that are like, I have a few friends on the Discord server I have that live in like the States, and we have one that lives in Denmark, and so we play the board games with those people on our computers.
We've gone too deep into the Matrix. This is it.
Science gone too far?
This is actually...
Scientists hate him.
This sounds exactly like something I'd want, because I always wanted to learn D&D, but the people I know... one kid wants us to play, but he always has to win, so we're like, you can never be Dungeon Master, ever. So, like, we're all, like, fighting about that, but I'll play with somebody who will actually teach me.
D&D is really fun, actually.
Always wanted to try.
I have one friend I have one friend who's trying to run a campaign, but he doesn't have the players for it. But he uses the website for it, so you have like little not pogs, but they're like little pictures, I guess, that represent where your character's on a map. It's like, I don't know, it's really cool. So instead of like a tabletop, you have like a website with preloaded maps on it, and you run your campaign off of that. So it's really cool.
That actually sounds dope.
I mean, if you're interested, I could tell him that you're interested, but it's up to you, I guess.
I'm a scheduling guy. We'll work on a schedule.
Sounds good. Word. All right, let's jump into the first one, which was Duke Nukem.
Yeah, so we played... Whose pick was this?
That was my pick.
All right. Well, go for it.
So are you going to come back from break with that?
No, let's just keep going.
Oh.
Okay.
We're not stopping on this one.
Oh, you threw me
Oh,
off there.
God. Okay. Okay, cool. So, I picked Duke Nukem was the first game I had picked, mainly because it was the first one that popped into my head outside of the other ones that were picked.
Well, you got to be more specific because it's not just Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem 3D.
Thank you.
For the MS-DOS, or I'll just say the PC from now on.
The Sega Genesis.
Which version did everyone play?
I played for the PC, which is the original version. I think the ports were the same though.
I did the PS3 one, and then I tried the Genesis Mega Drive one for laughs.
I actually played the Sega Saturn version.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Look at you being fancy over there.
Yeah, look at me.
He always tries to pull the Sega in.
Guys, remember Sega? It's cool.
If you guys remember Sega? Sega made games.
Sure they did.
Give me a reason. They'll bring up a Sega, and that's all I want to play.
I remember we were talking about it. He's like, no Sega games this time I see. I'm like, yeah, that's because they're shooters.
Yeah. So Duke Nukem 3D was developed by, what was it? Was it developed and produced? Yeah, so it was developed by 3D Realms, produced by GT Interactive. I played it for the PC. It was originally came out for the PC, the MS-DOS, but then it was ported to a bunch of different systems. It came out January 1996. The thing that really sold this game though was how controversial it is with the graphic content that it added in there. But that was the reason it was so freaking successful, and that's the reason it's so memorable. What do you guys think?
I have this weird juxtaposition with Duke Nukem where I like the game, and I like his comedy, and I like the whole content of the game, because it's very similar to Doom. But I almost wonder what its success would have been like if he wasn't so edgy, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I think it's funny because when the game was first coming out, he was supposed to be just basically this edgelord. There was no pop culture references or anything. He was just supposed to be just this edgelord.
So manly.
Yeah,
I mean, I like the game. It's another. It's kind of maze-like. Again, we're going into the Doom, but I like the variety of weapons you get. The enemies, they kind of look like cardboard cutouts, which is like some kind of weird charm for me. Like I don't know. I like the way everything kind of stands out. Especially, I played the PS3 version. I don't know if I said that, but the variety of weapons were good. I like how things blow up. I like getting lost in these levels, but like it somehow, even though Doom was more demonic and like violent, I guess you can say, like something about the graphic style of Doom, like the way the enemies fell and like the way you shot things, and it just felt more complete because you can look up and down. Maybe like a little touch like that just added it for me.
Yeah, so for a game of its time where you could look up and down was great because, like you said, with Doom, or not so much Doom, more so with, let's say, Wolfenstein, not at the time, obviously, but still, being able to move up and down, even on being able to move up and down was a huge thing. Even like not just aiming, but being able to move up and down with a jetpack, or even move through these non-linear levels in such a way that you didn't have to follow down a corridor or follow down this just one maze. You could either explore or you could just keep running down.
Break all the things.
Yeah, so this is probably arguably the best Duke Nukem game.
Yeah,
when we were going through the games, I was hoping someone would pick a Duke Nukem game, but I was hoping it was going to be something more ridiculous. But I believe this is the only first-person shooter one, isn't it?
When this game first went into development, they were actually going to try to put into third person and a bunch of different camera angles because they wanted to make this game feel more like a movie.
Right.
That was their.
Well, it's a giant parody on all the other first-person shooters that were coming out.
It kind of looks like Arnold in Terminator. So
yeah.
Well, that's totally on purpose.
Yeah.
Their cover art was a ripoff of a movie. I can't remember what movie it was though.
Probably
it
Evil.
was
I think it sounds like Evil Dead.
Something like that. It's something silly. Actually, what's really funny is something I had found was because it was so controversial because the graphic content, like I said, was a huge part of its huge success. Walmart's actually banned sales of this game until they released their own censored version.
Really?
Yeah, which did not make any sense because if you went through the menus, and I know Kevin's a huge menu guy.
Hey.
When you go through the menus, there's actually a way to turn on parental block. So there was no need for Walmart to even do that. Yeah, because at the time when this came out, you have to realize a lot of kids growing up were about maybe 10 to 15 years old when this game first came out. Like for the actual gamers, I guess would be like when it came out for us, our generation, we were 10 to 15 years old. So a lot of parents be like, "Wow!" Like you would walk up, you would tip a stripper, and then she would show you her tits. I'm sure a lot of your parents.
And what was the one-liner he'd always give?
I can't remember.
Shake it, baby.
Oh, shake it, baby.
But see, that's the thing we never got, is that there was always this mindset that video games were for kids, and like they were kids' toys. They were that, and like things like Duke Nukem, like Mortal Kombat, like they finally showed that like games are meant for like everybody.
Yeah,
and like even today we still suffer with that problem, which is annoying beyond belief. But
yeah, but it was just really interesting. My favorite line, since you brought up lines, my favorite line is, "I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum."
You know, I didn't know where that phrase was until I was like 18, because I didn't start playing old games until I was like 16. I was like, why does everyone say that? What is that from? Then I played Duke Nukem for the first time. I'm like, I get it now.
So I have to bring this up after I go into my experience with the game. Is when I was working offshore, I had taken a lot of the audio files from the Duke Nukem games and made them like sensor alarms. So if, say, one pit started sloshing real hard, it would say "shake it, baby."
That's kind of cool.
So I'd do like, okay, I gotta look at that now. Or a gas sensor would go off and do the bubblegum line.
Nice.
I feel like
that's awesome.
You're just like, yeah, oh crap, there's problems. I should go.
Well, the best moment was by far when the company man came in and one of the sensors goes off and he just hears "shake it, baby."
Listen,
he's
JD,
like, what is that?
We have to retrain you on sexual harassment. Look, you've had some complaints.
There's a course for that.
Oh, it was funny.
This is your final warning. Okay.
As for my excuse me. Oh, I'm dying. As for my experience with the game, as I said, I played it on the Sega Saturn because if anyone's played, oh my god,
you are
we
really
need more
dying.
David's tea.
Josh, this is our moment. We could take over the podcast.
No, it's all right.
Okay, so here we go.
Everyone's experience playing with the game on a console, at least from what I've seen and read, is everyone played it on the N64.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was on that.
It was also on the PlayStation, so it was a good. This game was one of those that signified console wars, like which version of the game was better. And
this game was also. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
This game not only furthered the console wars. This game was so popular that everyone, like basically every developer, was like, "Yeah, we made a DLC or not DLC. We made a thing. We made an expansion for it. We made an expansion for it. We made an expansion for it."
Yeah, and specific for that console. In the case of the Sega Saturn, its big seller was online multiplayer, which still can work today.
So does the M-DOS. Well, I guess PC.
Well, it's PC, so that's a lot easier. But yeah, if you have a Saturn, and as long as you have a LAN cable, you can hook it up and play online, which is nuts to think about.
Can do online.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things, though, not even the fact that you can go on multiplayer back in 1996, online multiplayer back in 1996. The coolest part was you could create your own maps. You could create your own maps on PC. I don't know if you could do it like the other ones, but you can create your own maps on PC, and then you can put them into multiplayer. So you can have people play on the maps you made, as well as download a bunch of them.
Suck it, Mario Maker.
Yeah, suck it, Mario Maker.
Oh boy. So a couple things that I had an issue with the game in general was, of course, the blocking nature of it. Yeah. Which,
well, I mean, it's a dated game, right?
It's a much dated game. I actually prefer the later PlayStation titles that ended up coming out, just because I wouldn't get lost so easy. This game, if you get lost, much like a lot of the FPSs we're going to talk about, you get turned around so easy because everything looks so similar. Mm-hmm. In the case of Duke Nukem, if you want to get lost, you have to start shooting walls randomly, and that's when you get a lot of the Easter egg moments coming out, such as going through the back room of a strip club, or you start seeing some risque videos being played on the wall.
Or you go to the movie theater, you shoot the screen, you can actually walk through that. Right.
So those things were really cool. But still, the whole getting lost thing was, for this game, it still seemed too easy. And then the Saturn version doesn't have a crouch button.
What? Huh.
It's very irritating. It definitely takes a lot getting used to. What it does is it auto crouches. It's an auto crouch. So if you want to go through one of these like hidden walls, you just have to hope that it auto crouches, and then you can get in.
That's incredibly annoying.
Yeah, it was, so you're like jumping at a wall 3, 4, 5 times, then finally randomly you'll just go through.
Yeah, that makes like the worst thing ever. Really, it makes that really annoying.
And this is actually one of the more sought after titles on the Saturn nowadays.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
it's supposedly the graphically superior version, which is surprising compared to the PlayStation.
You can see the blocks better. That's weird.
Yeah.
Well,
Blast processing.
Technically, I guess you could say it's not really a 3D game, but it's not really a 2D game. So I guess I could see on Saturn it'd work better because
everything's on rendered backgrounds. Everything's on rendered backgrounds.
You
So
have
it
to
all
keep
looks
in
like
mind.
cardboard, like you said.
You have to keep in mind the games produced by GT Interactive and I guess id Software were all the same, really.
Well, the thing about the Saturn version is it was actually ported by a company called Lobotomy Software,
Okay.
and they actually used their own engine to port these games over, which enhanced how everything looked compared to the N64 and PlayStation. Yeah, it was. I believe they called it the Slave Software.
They should think of a way better name.
Yeah, they certainly could have, couldn't they?
Yeah.
And that's why the Sega went down, because of slave processing.
Slave process.
Yeah, that was a marketing campaign. They were like, guys, we can't do this.
We're here to sell slave. I mean, it's the engine. It's the engine. It's not the slaves.
Are you saying that this is Sega's?
So Kevin, you
going
played
down?
this game on the Genesis, or you dabbled?
So, yeah, because I knew there was I think it's Brazil only, if I remember right.
That
like,
makes
of course,
sense.
yeah, of course it's in Brazil. And I saw a ROM of it online. I'm like, that wasn't on Genesis. Don't play it on Genesis, by the way. I mean, obviously you have your D-pad and your 3 buttons, so it's kind of like GoldenEye, where the D-pad kind of controls you in every direction. But,
Okay.
like, it's choppy. It's probably running at like 15 frames a second. Like, I couldn't even stay on the first level. I was like, nope, I'm done here. This is it. Like, it's something to look at and go, well, I'm glad they tried it. But like, the game
I'm glad this kind of exists.
The game looks
Yeah.
like shit. Oh my god, it's so terrible. And actually, believe it or not, I didn't even play it on like an emulator. The first time I tried Duke Nukem was I had a jailbroken iPod Touch with a Genesis emulator. I played it on that. Like, this is when I was like 14 or something. And then like I was like, oh, let's go back to it, and it still sucks. So Brazil, I'm sorry.
So needless to say, it's no bueno.
It hasn't timed well, that's for sure. It didn't age well. Sorry, it didn't age well, and a lot of people were really let down. When 10 or 11 years later, when
15
the next one, yeah, so 15 years later, when the next one came out, everyone was let down.
With Forever.
Not forever, but
What'd you guys think of the story? Let's back it up, or to kind of finish this off. Did you guys pay attention to the story at all, or just go around shooting aliens?
well, the only way you would have figured out there was story, other than when you went through the missions, excuse me, the missions, was if you went to the help part of the menu when you first loaded the game. So if you didn't go to that help thing, you had no idea why you got shot down out of a plane.
Yeah, it really missed the boat on any sort of cohesive plot line that you're doing, because you start out in LA, then you go to space, and that's about as far as I played.
I think the next level is the drown, let's say, an underwater, like the city's flooded or something. I can't quite remember.
Oh, Shrapnel City. Okay, I stopped in that one then.
Yeah, I can't remember the last.
Right
level.
at the beginning.
The last level, you fight the boss in a football field on the top of a building.
Yeah, because I believe every chapter ends with this pseudo comical one-liner where it's always like some alien woman or something. He's like, I may be tired now, but I'll be ready for more action later. So it's like, okay, he banged her.
one of the greatest things is when you would beat the final boss of the episode was when you would do something comical to the boss. Like, I know there was one where you would rip off whatever he had on whatever he was wearing, and you pulled down your pants. You're like, oh god, what is he gonna do? And he turns around and he starts taking a shit on the enemy.
Yeah. It's very much
Things that we would find childish today, but back then.
Oh, it's still like the PlayStation Duke Nukem I've played the most is Land of the Babes.
just that title alone is just like, yeah.
It's, Duke Nukem in this like crazy Amazon area.
You guess and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
Well, there's a reason people only talk about this Duke Nukem. Not to get too off topic, but like, this is the one that everyone remembers, and it's clearly the best. And I don't think Duke Nukem really did well, other than 3D. Like, maybe I'm living in my own little mind, but like, I think this is like the one time they got Duke Nukem right. And they've
Well,
just
the
kind
Duke
of like
Nukem games were notorious for having low budget.
Yeah, this game
And-
was only a budget of $300,000.
Oh, I thought it was like 800,000.
Really?
300,000. Yeah, $300,000 was the budget with 18 people on the team, which eventually went up to 23 at the end.
Wow.
Ooh, big spenders.
Yeah, so yeah, I do remember hearing about that. Just reading about it in the past, just in game magazines. Where, all right, next Duke Nukem game is coming out. This one will only have 12 people working on it.
Yeah, and the best part was on the computer box art. If you looked on the back, I think it was on the CD case, not the box. There was a picture of all the people who worked on it. Plus, they put in a picture of Duke Nukem in there as well. So he started his own paradox of creating himself being created.
Oh, John
Oh, boy.
St. John.
Well, we move on to that's Duke Nukem. It's funny. It's a first person shooter. I think
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Might
All right.
not be too
Fair
far off. Again, I just in my personal opinion, I prefer the other ones more. Just because I think they're even more stupid.
Yeah. Well, they're all stupid.
Yeah.
However.
Our next game is Kevin's pick.
Hey.
What is it?
Oh, I don't know if we were breaking or not. See, you're throwing me off here.
Oh.
We are. It was Wolfenstein 3D. I again played a PS3 port of this. I know it came out on computers back in the time.
Someone staying modern on a retro gaming podcast.
Look,
That's what
my
I-
PS3
that's what I
was
played
hooked
it on.
up. Like,
Oh, you guys.
It was.
No, I played a PC. I played a PC.
I played on Super Nintendo. Anyway, so the reason I want to talk about this game before I do my other pick is because like this is where everything really started, and I thought this was like the first Wolfenstein game, but there's one weird one before that. It's like some top-down thing. But anyway, it's really weird because I didn't know any better when I was little. I just thought you were some guy running around a maze shooting soldiers, and as I got older, I was like,
BJ.
yeah, I was like, oh, you're a World War II prisoner of war, like killing Nazis, and it really like blew my mind that there was like so many graphics you could do at the time. So I was playing this on DOS back in the day, and everything was blocky. I couldn't understand the language, and I was like, what is this game? And being 12, just getting lost in a maze. I don't even think I beat the first level when I was 12.
It was tough. You could get
I
lost.
wouldn't blame you.
No, and like we were saying before, how Duke Nukem, everything looks the same. This game, every room is either wood panel or those blue bricks with like the same 4 paintings on the wall.
Or they were the
It
stone.
certainly stepped it up a notch, didn't it?
Yeah, it upped the graphics a little bit, and like these metal doors, the rooms are all like 4 feet tall, and it was just weird to see like how this game was mapped out, and like like these soldiers who were just yelling German. I was like, this is kind of like a racy time in history to make like a shooter out of.
This was actually banned in Germany. This
Well,
game wasn't even
they
sold in
pretend like
Germany.
everyone was on vacation during World War II. Like nobody was in the country.
The only reason they banned it from Germany was because it was defaming the Nazi Party.
Well, gee, can't. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to put those.
Well,
guys
you're not allowed to. In Germany, you're not allowed to make political affiliates.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So whether it's Nazi or even like the CDP or the NDP or whatever is out there, you just can't make political affiliation to anything. And the Nazi one is very strict. And it's not because it's just making fun of it or it's defacing it. It's just the fact that them as a culture know that the game exists and know that the Nazis exist. Like we just don't want any of that.
Fair enough. So yeah, when I was going around, like when we were getting lost in this game, the only way to really keep your tracks was something that I hate that modern shooters started doing. Is like the bodies stayed on the floor. So your only way of navigating around these worlds was just like, who did I kill and are they still here?
Yeah.
And that was pretty much how I
boy.
had to navigate myself in the game. And I mostly ran around with a pistol, and then when I finally got to pick up, like, I think it's an MP40 or some kind of submachine gun.
It's like a chain gun or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice, but like the thing that disappoints me about the game, and I know it's early, but like those are like the only guns you get in this game. It was like kind of upsetting. So I don't know.
I wasn't really so upset about the amount of guns. I was worried. I was really upset about that the bullets were hit scan.
But,
So it made it made it really tough to play.
yeah,
Oh
So
God! I mean, I played the Super Nintendo version, and
that was bad.
it drove me insane.
Yeah,
I only beat 2 levels.
really.
Now at this, it's
Wow.
tough, but I
I just constantly kept making U-turns without even realizing it.
yeah. As tough as it was, though, it was really enjoyable to be able to mow down Nazis when they turned around the corner.
Yeah. I like how they all say, like, mein Leben once they die. I was like, it took me a couple years to figure out. I was like, oh, I get what that means now.
My
Like,
life.
but it was, it's speaking of censorship, like, so since you played the Super Nintendo version, like, there's no Hitler imagery, there's no Nazi imagery. So what did they put in place of that? 'Cause I never played that
So
version.
they basically just pixelized the shit out of the Hitler paintings and then took away the mustache. So you can't even really tell it's a person at that
did
point.
just
did
And
they
then-
pixelize it on purpose, or is it just because it's on a Super Nintendo and they were like, we can't?
I'm gonna say they added a couple more
Oh, okay.
in there to
The
take
other
away
thing too, you know, like that bird they have with the Nazi with the swastika.
the golden eagle of freedom.
Yeah, they kept the
It's
golden
not-
eagle of freedom, but they took out like the bottom part of the L's on the swastika, so it just kind of looked like a cross, like an X.
Yeah, so they replaced a lot of any sort of Christianity involved in the game was also taken out, because that's another that was a Nintendo censorship, was not only no Nazis but no religious affiliation as well.
Yeah, because you could pick up, there was crosses you would pick up. That would be like just extra points.
Right.
I guess it's Nazi
The
gold
game
treasure.
the game was ridiculous. I had a really real problem with all these stupid secret rooms that I just found myself hitting the A button against the wall all the time just until something moved.
See, like,
And if
that's
you
not-
don't
that's
do
not fun,
that,
though.
you can't find any of the guns.
Right, and I get that, like, it's a primitive game, so they had to, like, do their secrets their way, but, like, there's no way to tell one wall from the other. Like, you would literally just get stuck and just be like, I'll just hit A on every wall or spacebar or whatever you're playing it on. And like that wasn't fun to me. I wish there was like some kind of clue system or, like a sign on the wall. It was like, oh, there's a secret in one of these rooms. I don't know how I do. I'm not a game designer.
Did you guys
but,
hear about the contest that they had in the game though?
whoever can kill
No.
the most Nazis liberates Germany?
No, it's there was a contest where you would find a secret room, and it said, "Call Apogee and say Ardwolf." But they had to cancel because they wanted to be like, oh, everyone found the secret, and it was like a contest or whatever. I don't remember what the heck it was all about. But people who had a hacked version of the game on PC found that before the game was even released and kept calling Ardwolf. And actually, to this day, they still get calls about it.
Well, that was stupid on their part.
That's
Yeah.
great.
They never predicted the internet.
Yeah, no, and this is back in '92.
Wow.
That's pretty random as hell. I do
Yeah,
wish
it was.
the thing I do like about this game, it does take a very liberal approach to history, I guess, where you fight Robo Hitler at the end.
Yeah, that
Probably
was
the
funny.
best boss fight ever. Like,
Never even
yeah.
got that far.
oh
And then
my
when you
God.
beat and you take him out of his mech, he's got like Gatling guns for arms.
Yeah, it was just like, see, like, I know when I didn't have a good understanding of the history when I was younger, like, I remember playing Medal of Honor, like, Frontline, be like, I wish I had the end of the game, you got to, like, kill Hitler. Obviously, now I know better. But, like, man, that was such a cool idea for a boss. So they could have just, like, ducked it out and done the cheap, like, hordes of enemies, and if you survive the room, you beat the game. But, like, for id to go that one step further, like, no, Mecha Hitler. We're going
Yeah.
crazy with this. Like, that is, like, that's just things you rarely find in games anymore. Like in Wolfenstein: The New Order, they got a little crazy, but like I kind of wish they would take like a more historical fiction approach to things now. Like, and luckily, when I replay this, I get those like memories back, and I feel better about myself.
So I have a
Yeah.
confession.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This was the first Wolfenstein game I've ever played.
Get out! We don't need you here.
Yeah.
This is the
And
only
I
Wolfenstein
kind
game I've
of don't
ever
want to
played.
play it anymore.
What? All right. See, you're playing Super Nintendo version. Like that's your problem.
Yeah, man. Get it on Steam. Like, get it on PC.
PlayStation 3.
I do have
I'll even tell you get the Game Boy Advance port.
Wolfenstein something for the Xbox, so I might try that out. It's supposed to be arguably the best Wolfenstein game out there.
Well-
The New Order, or is it Wolfenstein the reboot with the blue skeleton on the front?
Dude, I don't remember. I'd have to go pull it up.
You would know
I-
if it's got a blue skeleton on the front.
Well, all I know is with the new Wolfenstein games, I've heard from a lot of people who really love the Wolfenstein series. Like, I've only played this one and some of the new one for the Xbox One.
Mhm.
But a lot of people say that the newer ones are kind of just shadows of what the game used to be.
Well, they do this thing where and the new Doom is guilty of it too. But like, I don't mind like callbacks to old games when they like push it in your face. Like, remember the old Wolfenstein? Like that's why I get mad with Nintendo.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
the new Wolfenstein's like you are BJ Blazkowicz, but like I don't think it feels like the old games at all. But
No.
I mean, you do one dream sequence where you go into the old levels and you're like, I'm playing Wolfenstein 3D. But like they're standalone games; they stand on their own.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein is what I have.
Oh, that's PS2. Okay, different one. I haven't played that yet.
Well, I have it on the Xbox because you can't have an Xbox without a first-person shooter.
That's true.
I guess.
Now the shooting aspect in this game drove me up the wall because there's no cursor.
Nope.
There's no sense of, at least in Duke Nukem, we didn't mention this in Duke Nukem 3D, but at least there was a sense of where you were shooting.
Yep.
Because the way the controls moved and handled, you could kind of gauge the shot. In this game, I would just fire blindly and hope I hit one of those stupid blue soldiers who take just a million bullets to go down.
Unless you had a chain gun, in which case you were literally blind firing because the flare off the barrel of the gun would completely encapsulate his sprite most of the time. So you're just like, I hope I'm done firing and he's dead. Like, that's all you had.
And was this the series that started the whole FPS trope of a giant white box with a cross on it as your health just randomly laying around?
I mean, I would say so, but I don't know what else you'd do. Well, you could also pick up like plates of food, which people leave out in grids of 3x3 all the time.
Right.
So
The one thing this game did really set the cliche for was you have to find the door that lets you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You see that a lot in a lot of the other games that id Software made, but yeah, it's called the granddaddy of shooters for a reason.
Yeah, this is pretty much every trope. You even got the face on the bottom where Doom Guy had his face. They pretty much look the same. This started the keys. You had gold and silver, which was a pain in the ass. Because when I found those key doors, I couldn't, like, it was so rough to tell which one was, like, the gold or silver. I think I had, like, a small outline on the lock.
Yeah.
Or something. I'm like, I just want to find the key and leave. And then I go back.
And the key seems to be as big as a person's head.
Yeah, and I just go back to humping every wall until one opened. And I was like, oh, there's a key. Who would have put it behind the secret wall? Of course.
I got so bored playing this game and so frustrated with just monotony.
That's true. It's fair. I mean, the game's not much to look at. Once you kill all the Nazis in the area and you're kind of finding where you got to go, it all looks the same. That's why it's so confusing.
Yeah, I almost want to say like it could have benefited from respawning enemies. Like, just so you have something to do. Because, like you said, once you kill everybody and you're just looking around, like, you're bored. And you're like, now what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah. Basically, this game was just a run and gun and get lost.
Yeah.
I literally would have been happy with just one level with Mecha Hitler at the end.
Maybe for like a $2 Steam title, but
yeah, do it. That's it. You heard it. Remake Wolfenstein 3D with just one level with Mecha Hitler at the end. Done.
And like a roguelike or something, you know. Maybe that's a Steam thing, right?
I think so. Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, I'll start coding it tomorrow.
Oh boy.
Cool.
Well, I guess that gets us to our third game, which is my first pick.
Hell yeah.
Ooh. It's called Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. Now, I will say, should have picked the first one of the Turok series.
Yes.
Just found out in Edmonton 2 days ago that there was like 5 sequels to this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
Turok's a weird series.
Yeah. I was really upset when it wasn't just dinosaurs.
And the reason why I didn't pick the first one mostly is because I own the second one.
Fair enough.
And I don't own any other Turok games.
not to get off track before, dude. Did you know Turok was a comic book series?
It doesn't shock me.
Like, I was in an antique store and I saw a Turok the Dinosaur Hunter like comic. And I was like, this isn't a thing. Stop that. And it was like from like the 70s too. I was like, oh, this has some merit and stuff. Like,
and as you say that, the comic book just disappeared as if you were right.
It's Turok's a real weird series. And juxtaposition from the first game to this one, fucking what happened?
Yeah.
So I thought the series was about dinosaurs.
Well, it's in the title, and you were wrong. That's the
I could not be more wrong going into this game.
Yeah, it was
because the first one was called Turok Dinosaur Hunter, so I was like, okay, cool. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, evil dinosaurs, great. No, it's about fucking aliens.
Of course it is. The dinosaurs were clearly aliens. You should have known better. And like the protagonist looks different. I don't even know if it's the same guy.
I could not.
It carries off at the end of the storyline of Turok 1.
Oh.
Yeah,
Picked right
so basically some Lazarus thing came up and you're in this lost land, and I guess these imprisoned aliens crash landed. Now you got to stop them from taking over or something. I'm very loose on the plot here because it's so difficult to follow.
Yeah, it's
This isn't a game you're playing for plot. Let's be real.
yeah.
It really isn't. It's all about what sets this game apart. What wasn't so much the year it was released. I believe this is the second of Iguana Entertainment's games.
Ever?
I believe.
Yeah, Iguana did develop it. Acclaim published it.
They shared it on
Because
Facebook.
it was mostly a sports franchise, if I'm not mistaken. And then all of a sudden, here's Turok, and here's Turok 2. So it's not like... Wait, were they even involved in the first one?
Iguana was, yeah.
Yes, they were. Yes, they
Yeah.
were. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Well, that's
They
what
were.
shocks me about it, because like this game's a little different than the first game, but it's also more like Doom and Wolfenstein, like we were talking about. It's like one giant maze. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, the only other games I could think of that ever came from Iguana was NBA Jam and a bunch of other sports franchises, because that was Acclaim's thing, was arcade games.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they made this dinosaur pseudo alien game, and you can kind of tell plot wise they had no idea what they were doing.
That sounds good. Throw it in there.
Yeah, no,
They're
first
just
person
like,
shooters don't
what's-
do plots.
What's next? Alien crashes, and the dude from the first game meets this chick.
Print it.
I'm not following you so far. No. That's only the opening sequence. What?
Wait, where did this person come from? Don't worry about it. That we'll find that
Don't
out
worry
later.
about it. Just go.
Jim, if you keep asking questions, you're fired.
Yeah, one more question. We throw it in the fucking window.
But this game was immensely popular.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember everybody in school talking about this because just the previous year, GoldenEye had come out. So all anybody wanted was more shooty bang bang game on their N64. So I think that's what led to the development of this franchise, what it came to be. I remember the game had a 3-month pre-order in Texas, and even there wasn't enough pre-orders to go around.
Simple.
Forgetting you're from the States.
Yeah. I
Yes.
do too. See, I'm glad like people around you knew about it, because when I was little, I played Turok 1 to death, and nobody heard of it. And then when I started working at retro stores, there's so many copies of Turok, Seeds of Evil, and then Rage Wars. I'm like, I didn't realize Turok was so popular. They just like dump all these things because they were like, we can't sell them.
Yeah.
But, like,
Well, the reason why there was so much trouble with pre-orders and meeting the demand is Acclaim's a third-party company for Nintendo.
that's shocking enough.
Which is why it was so impressive for what they came out with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just 1 million copies, I believe, just in the U.S. And if you compare that to sales now, that's pretty low. But back in the late '90s, that was just especially
great.
from a third-party Nintendo company. It's just wow.
Yeah.
And they end up selling like 3 million all over the world. It's nuts to think of the success. Now, into the game mechanics itself, I mean, we already went over how the plot was super all over the place.
Lots.
There's so many different maps, guns, shooting mechanics to go with each gun. The game wasn't small.
No.
I think the average playtime is over 20 hours.
Oh yeah, it's easily a long play game. Thankfully though, because the maps are so large, I'm really happy they added like these warp things.
Oh god, if those didn't exist, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah. Though on the topic of weapons, what was your guys' favorite weapon from this game?
Is it weird if I just say the pistol?
No.
Okay,
Not
good.
really.
Because it's for some
No,
reason
I mean that's the Halo.
it's the it's almost a
preferred
Halo
weapon.
effect, but like something about the way like the barrel, the pistol, and like the crosshairs work. I feel like I can get like a really precise shot, so I ended up using that a lot. And then otherwise, I'd like resort back to the bow and arrow just because I felt cool using it.
I felt the bow and arrow was a little too tough for me to use. I like the saw that you can throw. I can't remember what it was called though.
Oh, the boomerang saw or whatever.
The boomerang saw was super cool. The coolest one though I found, but only on multiplayer, was the one that you shot out like this drill and it flew all over the place into this person's brain.
Oh yeah, and
cool.
no, that was my favorite. I loved sitting back because the game's hard too.
Oh, it's tough.
I loved sitting back behind corners, shooting an alien dino with the drill gun. I can't remember the name.
Something bore.
Drill bore?
No.
Hollow bore? Hollow bore?
I can't remember that.
Solid bore sounds
Cerebral bore, I think it was called.
Oh, cerebral bore. Yes, you're right. You're right. It is the cerebral bore. And hollow bore
right.
makes their head hollow.
That sounds right. I'm just like, why does it sound right for something? But
yeah, I constantly found myself like hiding behind corners after I died from these simple enemies. A couple times I just bust out the bore gun and shoot once and then watch them flail around.
Yeah, it was really cool in the multiplayer to see that when you would screen peek on your friend's screen and you see like their screen all glitching out. It was awesome.
So you're telling me you're an admitted screen peeker?
No. I don't.
Likely story.
When I watch you die. Likely story. Chain him up. Give him the Iron Maiden.
Give him the cerebral bore. Hammurabi's Code.
Oh boy.
It's like a good game. Graphically, it reminds me a lot of like Half-Life, which I really do like. But
I can see that.
I can only imagine if this game came out on. I don't think there was a PC release, was there?
Yes, there was.
There was. Okay, so it probably performed a little better there, but like I can only I want dual analogs in this game, and like I hate the N64 controller. No, you stop that. And, like I can't play GoldenEye anymore for the same reason. Like it's impossible. I cannot control this game. Like that was the biggest like flaw. I didn't get too far in it for that reason. Like
the problem I had with this game is it felt too much like a GoldenEye wannabe.
Well, it was largely based off of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I kind of felt underwhelmed when the game came out, because it just felt like I was playing GoldenEye, but they were just missing the mark every time.
Did they ever confirm what those diamonds did? Since I didn't get too far, like the ones you collected all the time, did they just show you where to go and you like got a number for them? But like I don't know if they did anything.
Well, I know the only way you could beat a level is if you collected everything on the level.
Well, I don't hate myself enough. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's what made the game just so incredibly long.
Yeah.
It's just constant backtracking. What'd you guys think of the boss battles? If you even got to one.
Oh,
they were cool, but the fact that it was thank you. it was cool, but I was kind of upset that like the frames would drop and that would kind of take away from the game.
Yeah. Anytime I was putting the number at 4 enemies. Whenever 4 enemies, because they're massive enemies.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're like twice the size of you. So I don't know whether it was the sprites were having an issue or the N64 just wasn't powerful enough, because the game had to have the expansion pack to run.
Yep, and a lot of people were surprised that they released this on a 32-bit cartridge. It took them almost 3 years of beta testing for them to finally get this quote-unquote right.
Yeah. So once 4 enemies seemed to show up on the screen and were attacking you, the slowdown just was massive.
I mean, there is a low res mode, but at the same time, it made it more upsetting because the game wasn't as nice as it was, because the graphics were amazing for the time. It really pushed the limits of the 64 at the time.
It really did, yeah. No, I tried putting in that low res mode in certain sections, and I go, whoa, okay, coming back Super Nintendo, I guess.
Yeah,
it was largely noticeable.
Yeah.
I didn't get far enough to get into a boss fight, but
oh, you suck.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm sorry. I tried this game. Oh, wow. Okay. We're just throwing on like FM radio sound effects now. All right, I'll cue them up.
Oh man.
Trucks.
I mean, there's
Turok had didn't have so much Jet Force Gemini effect on me.
Don't you talk smack about my game.
No, it didn't control that bad.
No, it was definitely playable, but the collecting thing was just as bad.
That I could see. Yeah.
It really was, yeah. But the amount of weapons and diverse enemies, I think, saved it. That's what kept me going for a few hours.
Definitely wasn't the storyline.
It definitely no. I was actively trying to follow it. I was taking notes. I'm like, okay, so this happens, and then this happens. But wait, what? I don't understand.
What does Britney Spears have to do with this?
What does Christina Aguilera getting dirty have to do with this alien?
Everything.
Why is that dinosaur / alien committed in photosynthesis over there? I'm pretty sure that's bad on his planet.
Turok 2 is a story about a man trying to commit photosynthesis in an alien planet.
The aliens they didn't want nothing to do with it, so they decided to give him a boomerang saw to try to fix himself.
JD, can you go back and edit every title of these podcasts to add just fudge in the word photosynthesis in every title? It'll be great to search for on iTunes.
Today we play the first-person shooter photosynthesis.
I'm totally making a game called Photosynthesis now.
And just photosynthesis.
Oh boy. I mean, the game came out in 1998, so I think it did very well for coming out. It makes me wonder what would have happened if it came out on either the PlayStation or the Saturn, or even the Dreamcast later.
If you think about it, a few years later, Majora's Mask came out, so we only seen how that worked out with graphically.
Yeah, pretty shitty.
Hey,
Obviously.
come on. Hey.
Pretty shitty. Nobody likes that game.
I'm about to walk to Toronto and lay the beat down. I'll
Same
see you in
country,
6 days.
You're just gonna have to go back in time then.
That's fine. I know I have my Ocarina ready and available.
I kid, of course.
That's fine.
I don't believe you.
Anybody else say anything about Quake, or not Quake, of course, Turok 2?
Yeah, don't play it. I'm just kidding.
I think it's one of the better N64 games out there for sure.
It's super
Lies.
affordable too. So like, if you're looking for something to pick up for an N64 collection,
Yeah, it's like $10. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
oh, it went up. Last time I saw it was like $5.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would.
Well,
pay
here in
more than
Canada
5
it's
for
10,
this.
so
fair.
go live with it.
I would pay
Well-
more than 5 for this game.
It's okay. I get the black cartridge version because it looks cool and edgy.
Oh yeah.
That's what I got. I saw it at the store. It was like $10, sold. I'll play
Always
it.
get the different color console, or the different color cartridge.
Played on my watermelon pink with my purple controller. It's the 90s, bro.
All right. I believe our next game is another Kevin pick.
Hey.
No.
No, it's a Josh pick.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't you take this away from me.
Shh, I wanted to skip it. Fuck.
I mean, we could totally skip it. I'll be fine with it.
No, this game was so good though.
Go on.
This game is. How do you not want to talk about Quake?
I mean,
it's okay.
What's
all
wrong
right.
with it? What was the problem with it?
It's nothing inherently wrong. It's just like, it was, to me, Quake is just a multiplayer shooter. And like, it's been a multiplayer shooter. I know it has a campaign. I know it can.
well, the console versions didn't have multiplayer.
Well, yeah, I know.
The
but I
64 did.
Well, I didn't play the 64 version, Josh. I had enough 64 with
I'm
Turok.
sorry you only had a Sega.
I'd say can we all get
okay.
along, but
I did play this game on the Sega Saturn.
Of course you did. You can't just play anything on the 64. You gotta always play it on the goddamn Sega.
he bought the Dreamcast too just for this. So
Just for this.
Quake is fine. It doesn't do anything inherently offensive. It's just very, to me, it's very meh.
The game itself wasn't all that. It wasn't much to like stand out through a lot of it.
Mhm.
I felt was more appealing to the game was like the atmosphere and what happened, like, and the background story behind it.
Okay.
Like the reason, like, the game took actually a lot longer to produce, to come out, because when they were making this game, they didn't have the technology they wanted to make it. Kind of like with the Star Wars movies, they did like, oh, we don't have what we want to make it what we will like, so they didn't release it right away. So instead, they made Wolfenstein 3D and then Doom before they made Quake, because Quake would have been first.
Didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
The other cool thing that I found about is when this game came out, my mom was a huge Nine Inch Nails fan. So when she found out Trent Reznor picked the sound effects, did the soundtrack, the voice of the main protagonist, she was all over this game.
Yeah, I didn't realize he did the voice of that. Now I gotta like compare the two.
Yeah, he voiced the main protagonist, and what was really cool I found about the game is when he first started off, you start off with this heavy rock song, and you're already killing all these monsters, and it was really cool.
Id Software.
Yeah, it was really cool. No, id Software does a really good job of really starting you out in a game, kind of hit the ground running kind of thing. It was really cool. One of the things I found out about this game, though, in my research for it was actually supposed to be a VR game called Timequake.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, you were supposed to hook up a VR headset. This is back in '96. I didn't even know they had this yet.
Huh.
So this is back in '96. It was supposed to be a game called Timequake, and you're supposed to have a microphone where you can actually speak with the enemies. You can actually speak with them.
What is this trying to be? What's the word I'm looking? SOCOM. There we go.
Basically, they were trying to have that come out so you could talk to the enemies and communicate with them. But eventually, unfortunately, the idea got scrapped, and a more Doom-like game was released with a more HP Lovecraftian feel.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, the game was really gray or brown. There wasn't really much to the game. Like it was not something to look at all.
No, it really wasn't. I did find myself feeling it. I was getting the same feeling, much better feeling, but the same one as Wolfenstein 3D.
Yeah.
I just felt like this was the same game, just with higher resolution.
The cool thing about Quake, though, was the maps were so nonsensical that they kind of made sense in their own little charm. Does that make sense?
Kind of. It does.
Yeah.
Because the maps would never really make too much sense, but then you would kind of when you play a game long enough, you're like, oh, I know exactly how this game works now, kind of thing.
Right.
So that's what I kind of felt this game had really going for it. Other than like I said before, the really huge at the time and still is really huge, the HP Lovecraftian feel to it. Actually, this game caused so much turmoil with GT Interactive or id Software, I can't remember. It caused so much turmoil that the director of this game actually just quit.
He's just trying to be super edgy to match his game. It was all PR stunt. I don't believe him.
Yeah, there was so much turmoil with the game that he actually quit.
Did you ever notice that a lot of the pickups in the game have the Nine Inch Nails logo on them, actually?
Yeah, especially the nail gun. The nail gun.
Oh,
had
no kidding?
The logo. Yeah, the nail gun.
I wasn't able to pick out any of this, but that also makes sense why I never put in Trent Reznor together with that.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's just graphically, it's just unappealing for me to look at. It's just, everything's like you said, is so brown. It's like,
yeah,
it's just I don't know. To me, like I'm not saying graphics are the most important in the game, but like I need things to like encapsulate me, to like really like make me feel in there. Like I almost didn't play the new Doom because everything just looks so like red.
Dark.
Yeah.
Oh, you get lost so easy.
Yeah, I was just like, this doesn't look. And then I played it and it ended up being fun.
I'm glad you said that because you guys know they're remaking Quake, right?
I did hear about that.
Enemy Territory Quake Wars for the PS3. All right.
No, they're actually remaking Quake for like the PS4 and Xbox One.
Oh, they're really dipping into that nostalgia, huh?
Yeah, well, they seen Doom did so well, at least for the first that came out. They're like, yeah, fuck it, might as well remake Quake.
We should remake Duke Nukem too.
They already did.
Yeah, Duke Nukem had its chance.
Yeah, Duke Nukem had its chance. And like, fuck, we really tried.
Well,
Let's try Doom.
I heard a theory that Gearbox literally took whatever was done with Forever, shit it out, and just said, okay, it's out there, because if we didn't put out Forever, we would just keep hearing, where's Duke Nukem Forever? But like, they just shit it out, and they're like, now we were going to do what we want to do with him. So I'm kind of hopeful for some kind of triumphant return. But Quake, I didn't think that was one they wanted to really like bring back. It kind of seemed like after Enemy Territory, they were just like, all right, didn't work, guys, fall back. But there's another Quake on PS3 too, right? Quake 4? 4.
I'm not 100% sure.
Would not be able to tell you.
Oh,
I know that the game was bigger. It wasn't because there was the whole thing with the behind the scenes with the game, but the game that really made it, or the thing that really made this game huge for this time was that the multiplayer, because this game came out. It came out for 60. I played on the 64, but it came out, I believe, originally for the PC or the MS-DOS.
Yes.
That you could mod the shit out of the game, and then you could add those onto the online games.
I was actually watching some videos of some of the mods that they've done with Quake.
Mm-hmm.
They actually put Duke Nukem in the Quake universe, and then they threw in the Japanese restaurant level randomly in there, and then they have the one-liner of Duke Nukem goes, "This feels familiar."
Oh boy!
So just dumb things. I've seen a lot. Yeah. Now, I did like the weapon choices, not as much as Turok 2. But this seemed to suffer a lot. I played this on the Saturn.
You and your Saturn. Jeez.
And it was actually developed by the same people that did the Duke Nukem 3D, Lobotomy Software, based on their like slave software program that they did.
They basically took all of id Software and GT Interactive games and put slaves on them. I got you. I feel.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the slave thing again, guys. We got to stop doing this.
I ended up realizing that it had all the same mechanical issues that Duke Nukem had. So I'm like, this seems really familiar. There was no crouch. Not that you needed it in this game. That was the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But the shooting from the hip seemed to be slightly off compared to what I experienced in Duke Nukem 3D. Because again, it felt like what Wolfenstein 3D was going through with, where you just shoot from the hip and you just blind fire.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which got really irritating, along with everything being so dark.
Yeah, this game needs a brightness setting that works a little better.
I had to do it. I had to turn the brightness up on my TV. And the game just I first had the S video in, and it was just way too dark. It was almost like the S video was trying to up-res it, but in turn it made the brightness go way down. So I just went straight AV cable, and it got significantly brighter, but certain parts of the game was still way too dark. So if there was an enemy there, the detection of where you were getting shot from drove me insane, because if I got hit from the right, you can guarantee I'm going left.
Yeah.
So I'd end up always having to make a full 180 from there and be like, where's the enemy? Well, he's hiding in the shadows, I guess.
Well, everything's a shadow in this game, to be fair.
Everything's a giant shadow in this game. So that really, really irritated me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like I said, the game wasn't much to look at. It was really dark and brown, and some of the enemies really blended into the game. I don't know. I really like this game. Like, this is one of those games. This is like the only game that really stood out, because you didn't fight aliens, you didn't fight Nazis, you fought like demons, and not a lot of people really did that at this time. Not back in 1996, anyway.
Right.
So I don't know. It was one of those different standout kind of games, especially because I had no idea who H.P. Lovecraft was, and I don't know. And of course, the whole thing with Nine Inch Nails, because I was always listening to it, I was like, oh my god, this is really cool.
Now, I will say this game reminded me heavily of Unreal Tournament.
Oh yeah.
The Unreal game.
Actually, I don't remember if it was Quake or Doom. No, it was Quake. They came up with so many mods that so many games actually became independent of it. Quake had such a popular mod that Team Fortress became its own game because of this.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Team Fortress mod was so popular that they ended up making their own franchise.
Oh. Well,
Really
what do you know?
Plus, there's a whole bunch of different
I don't deny Quake as a franchise, but this first one it's like the first Unreal game. Forget it, just play the others.
Yeah, let's move on here. This is done.
It's that simple.
That's just my feeling behind after playing this for the first time. I've never played the first Quake. I've only played Quake 3, I believe.
Yeah, there was
that's the only one I played before.
There's so many Quake games and then Quake spin-offs, and it's funny because when I was looking up different reviews and stuff for additional information, a lot of people said like the Quake 2 and Quake 3 were kind of just they were numbered and named after the games, but they felt like they were no part at all in the Quake universe.
Oh, okay.
So
how would you rate this compared to Wolfenstein then?
Oh, compared to Wolfenstein? Dude, 10 out of 10. Compared to that, as its own individual rating, I would give this another 7 out of 10. Because while I did really enjoy this game, like we both said, like all of the three of us have said actually, the game was really dark. You can't really focus too much on like who's shooting you from they're too far away, and It's not much to look at.
The game's it's just okay. I don't know. I wish I had more to say about it, but
no, I mean
it exists.
There's not like a story to at least try and get involved in with like Turok.
Yeah, the really only story it has is you're like in between worlds kind of thing. So you're kind of not transcending, but you're kind of stuck in between like this different world in between time and space. Like you're not in hell, but you're not on Earth. You're like somewhere in between kind of thing.
Somewhere with all the edge of 90 shooters.
Yeah, so
they all take place on one planet.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Did a version of Quake come out for the Xbox? Had to have, right?
Quake 4, I looked it up. Or no, that's 360, sorry.
No, I want the first Xbox. The 360 is the worst console of all time.
Whoa!
Wow!
This guy loves the Saturn.
You can give me a 3DO over the Xbox.
This guy
360.
likes the Saturn, though. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Superior Sega console.
Throw bones over the 360.
It's not even thinking. It's just going.
True. It's true.
Let's see how the next Sega console does.
Dreamcast 2, man.
Yeah, that's happening. Let's just start another Kickstarter. The first 5 failed, but
speaking of sequel and 2, Kevin, what's your next pick?
that was the smoothest segue ever.
I'm getting good these days.
So my next pick was a game that I have a love-hate relationship with again. There's a lot of that today.
Same.
It's Doom 2, and I more played this game through my older brother, and by that I mean I was way too young to play it. So he got to really experience it, and I got to watch him play it.
Which was kind of odd, considering they removed a lot of stuff just to try to get a T rating.
Yeah, they did. And it's, even with those removals, if you put these games side by side, I can tell you which is which. Like, everything's kind of the same. It's a sequel that, while I think when people talk about Doom, they more often talk about Doom 2. But, like, everyone just says, I don't know, it's like one of those things where, like, everyone says Doom, but, like, I feel like more people played and are more familiar with Doom 2.
I have never played Doom 2, so this was my first time.
You played it. What a version you played. So I
actually played the PC version for this one.
Oh, I thought you were doing the...
Oh, you didn't do the Sega handheld version.
Oh.
Well, since this, a lot of people love this game, and if I came on the podcast and said I played, like, the Game Boy version...
Well, it's better than saying you played, like, a Sega Saturn version or something,
Well, no Sega Saturn version came out for this.
Well, there's probably good reason.
Otherwise, I would have hopped on it.
I actually played the Doom 3 BFG edition, so on my PS3. And it was a weird experience because you kind of semi-have dual analog control. And by that I mean, imagine if your right analog stick only did left and right. It doesn't do up and down. So it was a weird way to control this game. But I kind of recommend it, weirdly enough. You kind of have a more precise control, and I know, like, the shotgun in this game can shoot across the map if it needs to.
Yes, it does.
But
whole game with the shotgun.
Yeah, it's pretty much a shotgun's the only thing you need in this game. So if you play Doom 1 or Wolfenstein or insert name of any shooter we talked about so far other than Turok, you're in a giant maze, you're finding your keys, you're going around. It's one of those things where it's more of the same, but I'm not tired of it for once in this game. Like, the sequel just felt like more of an expansion pack. Like,
okay.
Yeah, it's very similar. Like, all the graphics are the same. They use the same assets. Like, even enemies die in the same way. But the level designs to me were just better in this. There was more verticality, which I kind of liked, because they got around the limitation of be always, like, shooting and firing in one plane by actually adding verticality to the levels. So it's kind of like, it really does feel like an expansion where they just went on further with.
It felt like an up-res Doom 1.
I mean, up-res, I guess, but they added more blocks on his hand.
They added more cardboard on the sprites, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I spent my $5 off of Steam and played it on my PC in the middle of nowhere in Canada. And this game was hard as shit, guys.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we talked about that with Doom. Doom is hard.
Yeah, you're telling me. I tried to play this on GBA.
Oh, so you're the one that did the GBA. Oh.
Yeah, I was the one that did the mobile.
How was your mobile experience?
Actually, I felt like it played better than it did on the PC. It had higher frame rates and handles a little better, to be honest. The only thing that I was kind of annoyed with is I couldn't aim up or down. But it kind of did that aiming for me.
Oh, so it was auto aim.
Auto up and down. Otherwise, I kind of had to aim it myself. I don't know, it was really strange. It was enjoyable, and like I said, I felt it played a little better, but I was still really upset that they took a lot of the Doomy stuff, stuff that made Doom.
So with first-person shooters, this was almost the last game I played. It's the second to last game, and after playing Wolfenstein and Quake, after playing just those two games, I was like, okay, this is a first-person shooter. Cardboard's everywhere. There has to be just secret levels, just in the secret areas in the simplest of regions. And I immediately found the chainsaw, just off that chain of mind.
Oh, you.
Oh, man.
You and your chain of memories. No, Kingdom Hearts? Okay, I'm throwing too far.
Hey,
that's a little too far out there.
We can't do those ones yet. We gotta wait like 4 fucking years to do
them. Look, my meds are wearing off. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I can forgive you.
So the chainsaw was a lot of fun. I had a lot more fun using the chainsaw. Of course, that makes the difficulty twice as hard.
But your fun went up.
But the fun level definitely went up a lot. If I was playing the game on like an easy mode or something, I would definitely just chainsaw run the whole game.
When in doubt, Gears of War it.
Well, yeah, because I have this gun that shoots metal projectiles, but I want to get up close. Really get close to my enemies.
Well, I played a little bit of the new Doom, and the chainsaw was so much fun. So I go, there has to be a chainsaw in this one, right?
Yeah.
I hadn't actually played the new Doom yet. And
The sound effects of this game was so wild.
Really
it was almost like it was on repeat. They had the sound, but then when you went to chainsaw, it just went and then fell.
Well, what better way to show that you're doing damage if not grunting constantly?
Right?
True.
Are they called grunts?
I don't know. They're called.
Aren't the enemies called grunts?
They're maybe you might be right.
Or super mongoloid grunts? I don't know.
They're called zombies. So that's what I call them.
I felt like I was just they weren't zombies. I felt like they were straight up odd monsters the whole time. Hell monsters, right?
I could get it. I could behind that.
I guess. I'll roll with it just because you said it. How's that?
Okay.
Fair.
All right.
Just for you.
It just was by far the best experience I had, though.
It's a good game. It's just the only thing I could wish is it's not bad because it's more of the same, but I do wish they just did more with it. There weren't really more guns. There weren't really more enemies.
No, it was very limited.
But the final boss was cool, right?
I had no chance I got that far.
Come on!
I didn't get there either.
So the final boss is the Icon of Sin. It is literally a cardboard cutout of Lucifer's skull, right? And you pretty much are reenacting the scene in Star Wars where Luke shoots into the vent and blows up the Death Star, right? You have to shoot pretty much a rocket into this tiny little hole while all these enemies are coming at you and blow up Lucifer's head.
Rocket into the tiny hole ball. Okay.
Kind of, right? It's cliche as hell. But it's a hard boss fight with a simple goal. But this is one of the more popular Easter eggs in the world. If you have either not God mode, but walk through walls on, you can go past the giant skull, right? And behind the giant skull is John Romero's head on a stake, like a pixelated John Romero head, and you can actually kill his head. And that's supposedly the quote-unquote true ending of the game. You defeat evil himself. He calls himself evil in this game. But you literally go in, walk through the wall, and blow up John Romero's head on a stake.
So you're telling me that the only true way to beat this game is to put a cheat code on to get you to walk through walls.
Look, it's better than buying DLC for Dead Rising 4, all right?
This guy.
Pow.
You might not be too wrong.
Exactly. I mean, it's a
How
cool
would you
Easter
figure
egg.
that out, though?
It's an Easter egg, really.
How would you even know?
They call it the true ending, but it's really not the true ending,
Nintendo Power.
I don't think Nintendo wanted... I'm surprised they even put Doom 1 on a cartridge. I'm sure they looked at Doom 2 and were like, we gotta do this again? No.
Yeah, they didn't. They said no.
Yeah.
Actually.
I don't remember how Doom was on the Super Nintendo, other than, graphically shit.
I'm sure it's the same as Wolfenstein 3D.
But they did Doom on Game Boy and Doom 2 on Game Boy Advance, so Nintendo logic.
And surprisingly, it was a really great port. Honestly, for how well it played, it should not have played that well. They made their own engine for it for GBA.
Really?
Yeah.
Nintendo did or it did?
Nintendo.
Oh, really?
And it was actually really well done. That's why I will stand beside me saying that it plays better than the original release.
Well, I'm gonna have to look into that. Do you know how much the GBA version is?
Ooh, it's expensive.
Yeah, it's considered a rare game, so you'd probably be spending $40 American. So we're probably talking maybe a mortgage on a house.
I remember when it was 25. I thought that was too much.
It's considered a rare game now, so especially on GBA. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe you have to apply to a bank loan for a mortgage on a house.
But do not get your hopes down low, because if you have a TI,
I'm seeing it for $80 Canadian. Look,
if you have a TI 83, you can play Doom, okay?
Or if you have this beautiful thing called a VBA, which I do not condone emulating at all.
Yes, don't emulate.
Emulations are bad. Don't do it. But yeah.
You have to play it the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah, on an emulator.
Oh, God.
Support the original release of the port version of a game that never came out for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's look, I mean, if you really want to get a cheap way to play Doom 2, I really do recommend that PS3 Doom 3 PFG edition. I think actually Doom 3 on Xbox also has the original games, but I can't confirm that.
So the Wolfenstein game we played earlier, at least I played on the Super Nintendo, was hard, but that was just because it was...
You got lost.
Like, you got lost. You had to pump so many bullets, not knowing where they're going into an enemy. Doom 2 was just plain difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
The enemies just messed you up. You knew where you were shooting, just like in Duke Nukem, as I experienced, and you actually knew where the bullets were coming from. So in that aspect, the mechanics were much better. Plus, I played it on PC, so I can imagine it's better.
Speaking of
I did use a Steam controller to play it, though.
Fair enough.
What is wrong with you? Why?
Because I can't do mouse and keyboard. I never learned.
No, but use a normal controller.
What's wrong with a Steam controller? It works
Everything.
just fine.
Controller sucks. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I love the Steam controller. It allows me to play PC games for once.
I just have a program. That
I got to show you a little program called Joy to Key, JD. It'll solve all your problems.
I don't know what that is.
DS4 Windows.
It's literally key map. So like if it makes you use keyboard, you could be like W is up on my analog stick, or like S is left on my analog
But that's
stick.
still using the keyboard.
No, it's using a gamepad. It's just mapping the keyboard inputs to that. So now everything uses a gamepad.
Well, whatever.
Speaking of difficulty, though, there's one thing I forgot to mention for Quake. There, you could go in, if you read the manual on the game, it says, at least I believe it, I think it was for Quake, it says, only babies and their grandmothers play on easy mode.
Well, I guess I'm a grandmother now. Didn't know that.
And the only way you can
play the game on easy mode?
The only way you could play the game on hard mode was if you had to jump over a pit of lava, and you could instantly die just choosing your difficulty. But when you chose that, so when you chose, let's say you chose hard mode, the only way you could find nightmare mode was jumping through that, and then you had to fall onto this wooden beam. Coming when you spawned into the level, you had to fall into this wooden beam, and then you had to find nightmare mode. You didn't just get it; you had to find it.
That's how you earn
bizarre.
it like a badass, though.
Yeah,
you deserve it after that.
Yeah, and let me tell you how fucking hard nightmare mode was.
The best experience of your life.
Oh, it was amazing, but it was so hard. Oh my god, I'd rather play Jet Force Gemini again.
Oh boy.
If Jet Force Gemini was on the Saturn, I bet you guys would love it.
I hate it. I didn't have Sega. What the hell?
I don't know.
I mean, I had Sega, but...
You're just ganging up on me, so I feel like it. I don't know.
Fuck you guys.
Doom 2 was really difficult. I did enjoy the game. I can definitely see the appeal to it. It did get monotonous and samey after a while, though.
Yeah.
It is.
That's definitely a theme.
I do not recommend
we're experiencing today.
I don't recommend Doom and then going right into Doom 2. You'll probably want to shoot yourself.
Yeah, no.
No, let's play Doom 3 now.
This game, though,
Which version?
Yeah, let's which one. When I finished playing this one, though, I went onto my PS4 because I bought Doom, the remake, a while ago. I just hadn't played it. I actually played this bit of this game, and then I went to play the remake of Doom, which was quite a bit of fun.
I love the remake of Doom. That game's so good.
A lot of people like it.
Oh, it's so good. The only thing I could say about it is too much punching guys in the face. And then I think about what I just said. I'm like, no, it's fine. Never mind.
Yeah, for real.
So that's Doom 2. Everyone seems to be pretty high up on that game. I wonder why.
It's good.
Doom's one of those culty things. Like we were talking about last podcast with cult versus iconic. This is definitely one of those culty ones, as well as an icon.
The icon would definitely be the first one.
Oh, yeah.
The sequel is cult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I could agree with that. So our last game is my pick, which brings so much diversity to the table.
Fucking hated this game.
Oh, come on.
It's the very first Medal of Honor that came out on the PlayStation. Are you guys excited? Came out in 1999.
Yeah, you're right. We're almost
That is definitely a game.
we're at the cusp of like our cutoff of games. You understand that, right?
It's up there. It's still 2 years away.
You understand. Here's the thing about Medal of Honor for the PlayStation.
You could have picked Quake 2. That would have been within the realm.
Nope, gotta be old. Gotta be retro. We're the Red Leaf Retrocast, not the Red Leaf Modern Cast.
Look, I'm younger than you guys, so this is all fairly new to me.
No.
This is all fairly new to me. JD's older than I am.
I am. I'm an old one.
It's all new to me.
A lot of my friends actually had this game, and when I was living in Europe, the people who still had a PlayStation loved the Medal of Honor series. This never came out in Japan. It was only Europe and North America.
Well, understandably so. It's an EA game, and don't even get me started on EA.
I was going to say because it's an American military game. I'm pretty sure they're not totally about so those Japanese. Am I right, guys? Those guys suck.
How about those Pearl Harbor? How about that, boys?
I always wondered what they do for Medal of Honor Rising Sun, in Japan PlayStation 2. So they just let's just switch the teams. That's fine, right? We'll be good. I always wondered what they do with military games like that. I mean, I know they're not big there, but
that's the one game where they switch sides. So the end game, the final bosses, you just lose anyway.
Japan #1.
Japan #1. They just lose because they didn't win. They get forced. They get the ending is them being forced to make anime so they can help Germany pay off their debt.
It's a whole. It goes from first person shooter to anime animation simulator.
Yeah.
Oh, life is great sometimes.
Oh boy. So this game was largely getting back on track. This game was largely made because of the success of Saving Private Ryan, the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then EA actually got in contact with Steven Spielberg, and Spielberg created the story, and he directed it as well.
Which is why DreamWorks is part of it.
And that's exactly why DreamWorks Interactive developed it. And I actually had a lot of fun playing this game in the end.
The game was alright. The game was a cinematic game. Let's not kid ourselves.
It really was. Even at the beginning of the game, it goes through this whole World War II spiel about going above and beyond the call of duty. So we all kind of know where that started from.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I was like, I see foreshadowing here, perhaps. And you're basically this super soldier, the best of the best kind of deal, but you're not enhanced in any way. You're just
you're a private.
Yeah.
That's the thing I hated about military shooters back in the day. It's we're going to send this one soldier to go in, front lines, good luck, guy. No, this would never work out. This is a terrible idea.
I just joined the army last week. You want me to do what again?
You're going to go in there with a bolt-action rifle, and you're going to take out everybody.
Okay.
Oh, and if you run out of ammo, here's a knife.
Okay, now I have a question.
Okay.
That sucks. Get out.
Okay.
We expect you to take out these incredibly difficult German bases. Go.
You're on your own. Have fun. There's top security.
It's a World War II game, so as you can expect, you're killing Nazis. We all see a theme here with first-person shooters.
Nazis are bad.
Nazis bad, go kill them.
Nazis, aliens, and demons.
It's how much I miss the theme.
Well, even the demons could be misconstrued as aliens.
I miss World War
Unless
II
they
shooters
outright
so bad.
told you. You miss them?
I miss
Is that
them
because everything's in space now?
Well, because everything's in space and you're America, gah. That's pretty much every story. But I miss just shooting things in a desert now. I really miss World War II, and this game really brought it back for me. I was so happy to play this.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, as a history buff, I really enjoyed it. That's the only reason why I can kind of say I salvaged enjoyment from the game was because I like history as much.
It's historically accurate too.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Well, that's thanks to Steven Spielberg, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was just really cool because this game had a sense of realism because the missions were based on actual real missions that had happened during World War II.
Well, that's what made it inherently popular, because all we've experienced before that were these kind of fictional realms.
Yeah.
And because of everything that was going on and first-person shooters becoming kind of mainstream, especially for the PC gamers, for a console game to come out, this was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And an exclusive title.
The only thing is you could tell that they were having trouble with how first-person shooters on a console are supposed to work. Like the controls are a little clunky because
Oh my god, I hated the controls so much.
Now I don't know. Maybe my like when I was playing on a PS3. Oh, I played on PS3. I know. I don't know. I had the disc. But like for some reason my analog control wouldn't work. So I don't know if this game like just didn't support analog or like maybe I was doing something wrong.
It did.
So it did.
Okay, so I'm just dumb. Got it.
No, it was,
so
the control scheme was fucking retarded.
Here's where the controls are very different.
Yeah.
If you're a seasoned first-person shooter player today, this game is gonna take you by so much surprise.
You wouldn't be able to play this game.
Well, or at least you're gonna have to build up a different pseudo hand memorization.
I'm not changing everything I know just for this game.
Because when I first put it in, I popped it in the PlayStation. I popped it in the PS2 just so I won't have to hook up the other console. And the right analog stick moves, and the left analog stick strafes.
No, it's the left stick you moved and you can aim with it. The left stick you moved and aimed. With the right stick you can only strafe. Or no, the left stick you moved and turned, but the right stick strafed.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
And I tried playing a good portion of the beginning of the game like that, and I just went, you know what? I kind of want to get into more of the game. So I end up you can play this game without the analog PlayStation controller. So I hooked up the PlayStation, hooked up the controller without the analog, and it's much easier to use the D-pad because then you strafe with the L and R button.
It almost it seems like it's actually a better idea.
So that kind of gives you the impression that the game, analog sticks weren't common back then, especially dual.
Like they were out, but they weren't, like you said, popular.
People didn't know how they worked still. Like I still remember the Alien Resurrection reviewer, I think from GameSpot, who was like, "You cannot walk with the left analog stick and aim with the right. This will never work." Like people didn't know how like to
right. But as soon as I just took the analogs out, the game became a lot more playable because then there's this. You hit I believe it was the R2 button, and that kind of gives you a manual aim, and you can find out where you're shooting. And the neat thing about what the game did was the developers, as much as we don't like to we like to praise EA or DreamWorks as a development company for games, when they actually programmed the computer to react like a user would be playing the game. So when you press R2 and go to the manual aim, it takes just as much time for the computer in the other room to do the same. So you don't just get mauled down by enemies. That was really cool.
One of the biggest things I was impressed with was how the enemies reacted to being shot. Like they would actually, for how smooth and how fluid they would like jerk away from being shot. It was pretty impressive for everything else that was going on in the game.
I was really surprised with this game because I've never played a Medal of Honor game. I've played SOCOM 2 on the PS2. That was kind of my first real war shooter game ever.
And mine was Metal Gear.
Well, yeah, I guess that counts, but that was third person.
Yeah, it's third person.
Fair.
Yeah.
And that's more of a sneaky game, but anyway.
And the same goes with SOCOM. So I was going in this going Metal, because I originally was like, well, when did Call of Duty come out? We have to do one of those. Oh, it's too late. All right, Medal of Honor. Yes, okay, that makes the cut.
I would have quit the show if I had to play Call of Duty.
Come on, that would have been so much fun to rip on the game.
Are you serious? Come on, Call of Duty's really not that bad.
No, it's that bad.
All right,
but when was the last time you played the first one? That was the question.
Oh, never. I started at
exactly.
I started at Call of Duty 3.
I started at Black Ops 2.
All right, I'll go fuck myself. That's fine.
I was actually surprised with how much work went into this game, and the story itself was. I mean, it's a war game, so the story's not deep or anything, but it was definitely there. Have you guys ever played Black on the PS2?
Yes,
I played the opening intro at 12 frames a second to see if my computer can run this on an emulator. I mean, program. It's an emulator.
Oh, you bad American.
I had it on the Xbox.
That game is just gun porn, though. That's all I pretty much got out of it.
But it was really good. It really pushed
it's not bad.
The consoles to the limits. And when I was playing Medal of Honor, I just went, wow, this reminds me a lot of Black, which not a lot of people played because it was at the end of the life cycle, generally. Like the level going through the sewers was so cool because the music was kind of ambient. It was kind of keeping some suspense there, along with hearing the footsteps and echoes of the German soldiers coming after you. Mach schnell, Erstruhe. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And it's really cool knowing German now, hearing everything that's happening. Because if you know German, you know then where they're coming from, which is really awesome.
I always luckily you know German, but I always wonder if like developers just say something German, like, and they'll just go, like it's fine. They'll never know.
Well, I mean, there were moments in the game, and not just the sewers, there, overland, just in the cities. You would hear over whether it was the radios or just soldiers in the distance going, "We got to get them from the left. We got to get them from the left." In German. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just hook around and flank them. Awesome,
nerds.
I felt like a secret agent kind of playing this game. I really did.
I guess that probably would have helped the experience if you know how to speak German.
I just yelled and
it definitely didn't hurt.
America! I was just like, America! Kill them Nazis! They're raping our churches and burning our women.
Constantly preemptive striking them. It was pretty cool.
Nazi bastards.
It was a good game. It's just like, I mean, I respect it for. This was where Medal of Honor started, and like I respect it as like we're finally getting like shooters down.
It was really impressive because it really kind of paved the way for first-person shooters.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't go back to it.
Where they are today.
Yeah, I think without this first Medal of Honor, I don't think Call of Duty would have even come to be.
No.
Or it would have came much later than it did.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's weird because like, I respect the Medal of Honor franchise, and I was really like hyped for the reboot. And like going back to this, like I almost had that same level of like, aw, man,
aw.
I like Medal of Honor. It's just this game is I can't. It was great then. I can't play it now.
Yeah, no, it's extremely dated.
It's good if you're really drunk with friends and you want to see something real bad.
This game is hilarious drinking.
Yeah, that might be the way to play it.
I think a lot of these games really are that we went over. Maybe not Turok.
This was the last game I played on the list, and this was just last night I was playing it, and I was like, man, I wish I had more time to dive into this, because then I could have learned more about the story, learn more about Mr. Private Johnson.
Private Johnson. That wasn't done on purpose.
No, I think it was Patterson. I think his middle name was
Patterson.
I think his middle name was Johnson.
Yeah.
I think it was Jimmy Johnson Patterson or something. So I was like, oh, not only do we have Private Johnson, we also have a NASCAR driver here.
This game was really about time. This game was really about time travel and capitalism.
Yeah, we already talked about Doom.
Oh boy. So just that kind of settles what I have to say about Medal of Honor. Anybody else?
I kind of said what I had to say.
It's definitely like I'm one for who I buy every common bottom of the barrel military shooter you can just because I like them. Medal of Honor is one to have, and it's one to play and appreciate just to see where this genre really started and got its roots down.
Right.
If you don't finish it, I don't blame you, but you have to respect it for what it did, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely better games at the time that if you wanted to have like a mil sim, there are definitely better games at the time to look into.
Well then, just to go through the list one more time of the first-person shooters we played: Duke Nukem 3D, which I played on the Saturn.
PC.
Sega
Quake.
Saturn.
Yeah, Quake, which I also played on. I can't remember now. Came out on a bunch of things. Doom 2, Hell on Earth, Wolfenstein 3D, computer and Super Nintendo, Turok 2, N64, and Medal of Honor for the PlayStation.
All recommended at some point or another. Minus Quake.
Before we go into our favorites, how about we go into some honorable mentions?
Oh boy.
I have to put out there immediately the Unreal franchise.
Yes, definitely. You throw me on the spot now. I gotta look behind me. Unreal, definitely Unreal. All right, so this tournament and championship, which one did you play?
I played tournament.
See, I did a lot of I do tournament nowadays. I did play a lot of Unreal Championship.
Well, frag you, tournament's so much better.
Oh no! I'm agreeing with you. It's just I didn't know like there was a split. I was like, why is this one called Championship? It's different. By the way, Championship on Xbox. Oh God, no! Don't do.
No.
The controls are everything's inverted.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't. It's but Tournament 3 and PS3, I definitely highly recommend. Honorable mention. Let's see, what can I throw out there? Oh, we talked about it before. GoldenEye. Don't do it.
GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. Look, let's settle something right now, audience. We talked about this before. GoldenEye sucks. GoldenEye is not playable anymore. Play Perfect Dark, which has a similar control scheme, but you get more out of it. The guns are better. There's more lore behind it. You can play with bots if you don't have friends like me. It's just it's an overall better game that I think it's just overshadowed.
Even GoldenEye, the GameCube sequels that came out are much better than the N64 version.
That's the thing. Everyone jumps to the N64 one. I'm like, have you guys not played like Agent Under Fire?
Have you not played this since you were 12 years old?
Yeah, like those are the same people that also say like the first Mario Kart was Mario Kart 64, and I want to punch them in the face.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Red Leaf Retrocast, where we all just apparently commit social suicide.
I don't care.
Well, I mean, we see top 10 lists of just Nintendo games of all time, or even top 10 for the N64. GoldenEye shouldn't be on that list. It's solely based off of nostalgia.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It can be your favorite game, but it shouldn't be the best.
The only reason I think it's so nostalgic anyway was because everyone got pissed when you got the golden gun.
and like everyone goes like, "Oh,
good movie.
To bring 4-player split screen." I'm like, Perfect Dark still does it.
Yeah,
so it's there. And then, I mean, if you're gonna talk even best N64 game, Battle Tanks, all right, I won't do that.
No, Battle Tanks is better than GoldenEye for sure.
I was like, let's see, classic shooters that are underrated as all hell.
Now I will say, when we were first going through, when you picked first-person shooters as a theme, I was like, oh, great, okay, so we're just gonna...
You bastard.
I love you too.
Yeah, you bastard, how could you do this to us? I'm gonna hate all the games, and I really didn't. Doom 2 was a surprise for me.
I'm ready to take my apology card whenever you're ready. It's fun.
Because I wasn't into the new one, just got lost constantly. Sure, it's a game full on adrenaline. Doom 1 does nothing for me at all. I think that's based on nostalgia for a lot of people, for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, I see the grounds it made for FPSs today, but Doom 2 was actually a lot of fun. Yes, it's hard as balls, but
yeah, but Doom's a little different. Doom's more of a dungeon crawly running gun.
Yeah.
Instead of
Rainbow Six. A lot of PlayStation 1 games. Those are a little underrated too.
Yeah.
Did Rainbow Six start on the original PlayStation?
It started
on the PS2.
N64 and PlayStation.
So my question to you guys is, why didn't we pick any of these obscure titles instead of all these top ones? I had to pull titles out of my butt to keep diversity going.
So I wanted to,
while you guys all picked id Software games.
Well, because Wolfenstein is where it started, so I wanted to make sure we really covered that. And then I picked Doom 2 because everyone talks about Doom 1, but like nobody really brings light to the same but better game to me.
Okay.
So. I picked Duke Nukem and Quake because I love Duke Nukem and Quake. Well, not only is it coming out soon as a remake, but Quake was also super fun to play when I was younger.
All right, point noted.
Why'd you pick your games?
Yeah. Why'd you pick your game,
man?
Go judge us.
Yeah.
No. I was hoping for good reasons, not just these games are really popular. I want to play them.
I do wish we talked a little more on Turok 1 because I'm more familiar with that, and that's a great example of a game that, while started talking like hunting dinosaurs, just became full what the fuck within like the last quarter of the game.
Oh my god! Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I was in Edmonton at a used game shop, and that will segue later in the show when I announce the next theme. I saw Turok 4 on the N64, and I go, there was a fourth one on the 64?
Yeah,
there was what? There was a second one until you said something.
There's 3.
I thought there was only 2.
I only thought there was
vaguely
one.
aware of a third one.
Well, there's 3.
But I thought that came out way later.
3 in Rage Wars, right? That was it.
I don't know, but so I was talking about, I have to play Turok 2 for the podcast, she's like, "Oh, what podcast are you on?" I was like, "Oh, it's just a retro gaming one. Turok 2's on there. I didn't even know there was a fourth one." She goes, "Have you played the first one?" I go, "No." So she popped it in the N64. That game controls like so much ass.
Oh yeah, the C buttons are the walking.
Oh my god! I wanted to strangle the N64 controller. I can't do anything. I can't do anything.
That's my least favorite mainstream console, I guess you could say, because I haven't played like a CDI or anything. But like, I fucking hate the N64. It's my anti-nostalgia. It's like the system. Everyone's like, because we're getting to that age where like people my age are like, oh, the N64 was great. I'm like, you're fucking stupid, because it's not.
The only games I enjoy.
It's not the prettiest console, that's for sure.
I just really enjoyed the Zelda games. That's it.
Yeah, but
Zelda,
they're on GameCube now, so I'm like, never mind. I can get rid of you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd rather play on the. Honestly think the best controller that Nintendo would have made, since we're kind of on this, like the whole controls and shit, was the best one. I think was GameCube.
Yeah, I got love-hate with that.
I like the Z button, but
I don't like the D-pad, and I hate that you don't have enough buttons. That's the thing for like the PS2 port. So like I'm waiting to see how True Crime works on that, because I haven't on that. But I ain't paying that Nintendo tax.
Well, which game out of the list were you guys' favorites? Josh?
My favorite would have been Quake. I don't want to be biased towards my own game, but it would have had to been Quake, just because the immersion. It just felt like a great game overall.
I'm actually kind of surprised by that choice.
Well, excuse me, Sega man.
Well, I mean, if you would have yeah, I played on the the Saturn. That's right. Oh man, I mean, if you would have chosen Wolfenstein on the Super Nintendo, I'd be like, whoa, what are you smoking?
I mean,
no,
no.
Wolfenstein, other than Medal of Honor, if we wouldn't have Medal of Honor, Wolfenstein would have been at the bottom of the list. Not because I didn't like it. It's just I just didn't really enjoy it as much. But I would have went Quake, Duke Nukem, Doom, Turok, Wolfenstein, Medal of Honor.
Oh, wow. Okay. Kevin?
I mean, I'm going to be the guy that doesn't pick my own game, but...
Well, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm totally lying. And so Doom 2, definitely. And then Duke Nukem, just for, like, it's different. Turok's
parody.
Yeah, Turok's at the bottom of the list just because I hate the N64 controller. Like, the game itself isn't bad. I don't even remember what order I'm going in now. Like, Quake is somewhere in the middle for me. Like, it's okay. It doesn't do anything offensive, like I said. It's just there.
It's definitely an immersion game.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Wow. Any particular reason why you like Doom 2?
I mean, it's just... I don't want to use this word because it's kind of cliche, but it's just metal as fuck. Like, it's just really... it's just adrenaline pumping, like, just killing monsters. There's blood. There's, like... really bad MIDI files of Metallica and Pantera going off. Like,
oh yeah, that was the other thing.
It's just the music's so cool. Tinny. It's just, I don't know. It's something like those are one of those games where there's a plot if you care, but like we talked about earlier, you could just dive right into it, and like because the levels are so massive, it seems like it's randomized. So you're just like, fucking, let's go. I don't know where I am.
Yeah, you just hit the ground.
So basically, the game got your nipples hard.
Yeah, just the nipples. I promise nothing else.
Just the right one.
Yeah, definitely only my nipples got hard.
Palms are sweaty, no problem.
Mom spaghetti.
Oh, please no. So, before last night, my favorite game was Doom 2. And
I was winning.
Well, last night, Medal of Honor was actually really surprising, and I'm gonna actually go out and get one of the sequels.
You only say that because you speak German.
Well, I mean, the immersion was definitely there, but no, I actually thought, okay, to make my point more clear, all the other games looked the same.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Every game looked like cardboard cutouts pasted on gray walls.
Except for Turok.
When it's all... Well, Turok actually had green walls.
Yeah.
Turok had the most diverse environment, but the game was long, very tedious.
You had to play with the N64 controller.
The controls took some getting used to, but the weaponry was a lot of fun. Now, Doom 2 just flowed right. Got the nipples hard.
Just the nipples, though.
Just the nipples, right. It's a family show.
Only.
But going through Medal of Honor, it kind of like something just clicked there where as soon as I put in the regular controller, D-pad, LR, everything started flowing smooth. The story actually had a purpose. It was pretty much the only game with a story
Yeah.
that made any sense.
America.
Hey, Duke Nukem had a story.
It does. Duke Nukem was definitely third on the list for me. So, yeah, Medal of Honor. It's very surprising. I think it's the first game on the list for the podcast that I've chosen that is my favorite.
So we could say first-person shooters don't suck now, right?
Well, these ones
I can
don't.
say a couple games don't suck.
All right, I'll take it.
Wolfenstein on the Super Nintendo, I will never play again.
So how many years before we can talk about Killzone, though?
Well, it depends when the Killzone come out.
I don't know, PS2. Actually, wait, it probably just qualifies. Hold on, what are we at? 15 years, right?
Yep.
Damn it!
Why didn't you? Oh, what is it? 2003?
I don't know. No, I gotta look now. Hold on. I was just like, wait, it's like around 2000. Fuck, I love Killzone. I'm actually getting a Killzone tattoo soon.
Nice.
Helgast, right?
Yep. Because, it
Yeah.
doesn't really help that I'm like a white dude with blonde hair, blue eyes, and I shave my head. But I'm just like...
It's okay. It's okay. It's only being a space Nazi. You're fine.
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, the guy was like going over with me. I'm like, I know what it looks like, but just don't do the red. I just want it in black and white. It doesn't... it can't...
Yeah, you kind of don't want to put red on that.
No, I don't. Let's see. When did this come out? Because if it come out, I'm doing an honorable mention right now. 2004. Nope. Damn it.
No, not even close.
You have to wait 2
No,
years.
I'm a big fan of the Killzone series. I think with the third game, they definitely diverted from what made me like the first two. Although the third game is, you want to talk about a game that's just pure metal?
Yeah, that game is awesome.
The third game is just, here's a big fucking gun. Go kill a bunch of guys in wearing black.
I'm so upset that like not a lot of people like Shadowfall, but I love Shadowfall. I thought the story in that was great.
Well, the third game is what ruined it. It felt like everything was over.
It did, and I get that, but like Shadowfall, the Shadowfall is its own story, so like you can kind of take it at that.
I mean, well, Shadowfall is like what, $5 now?
Yeah, it's on a flash sale right now. Everybody, go buy Killzone Shadowfall, and if you got a Vita, because you're one of the other 5 people that bought a Vita, get Killzone Mercenary also on sale. That one is like Killzone 2. So they're
I might have to look at that
like
because I want more games from my Vita.
Yeah, no, it's like it's a big file, so make sure you have a memory card. But like that one,
Is it digital only?
Well, it's a flash sale on PSN, so no, it's on both. But like, man, that one feels just like Killzone 2. I was just like, good.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Well, that was first-person shooters. We're gonna recharge our batteries, take a quick break. I am going to the restroom, as I must inform everyone.
Yeah, I gotta export this 2-hour file real quick.
And then we'll go into kind of the culture of first-person shooters today as our final main topic.
Sounds good.
We are back with the Red Leaf Retrocast.
Hello.
First-person shooters themed episode, and we're going into our main topic here. Josh had to step out because I guess his polarizing opinion over first-person shooters isn't welcome here right now.
We kicked him out.
No, he had to go. He had to go for personal reasons.
We kicked him out.
I just realized that our discussion over the FPSs was the first time the three of us were together.
I know we always have scheduling conflicts, but that's the glory of being an adult.
Yeah. We're adulting hard.
It sucks.
And I just want to throw this out there that, and I will mention this at the end of the episode again, that the next episode won't be out for about a month because just on the fact of scheduling problems, I'm traveling a lot for work. I'm even going to be gone on weekends. And then I have vacation in that third week that we normally record. So it's only going to be delayed a week than normal.
Which is fair. You got to enjoy yourself.
You know what? I only took one vacation last year, and that was around this time. So I'm taking another one.
Treat yourself.
Gotta treat myself. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to Seattle, SoccerCon.
Waifu.
Have you?
WaifuCon?
WaifuCon. And I've never been to Seattle. I'm going to catch a Mariners game while I'm there, so I'm mixing both the manly aspect and the not manly. Maybe I'll get some Bomber Girl while I'm there.
Oh, right, that exists. I was like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, I almost caught him off guard. Damn it.
No, I don't want to.
So one more time, this podcast is brought to us by David's Tea. You can join their Steepers Club and get some nice tea deals every season. If you live in the States, you have even better deals, which is kind of not fair since it's a Canadian company.
Shh, America.
Yeah, and then brought to you by New Amsterdam Gin. Hopefully I'm bowling well enough and we can keep the sponsor as some of the money goes towards the podcast.
Whatever it takes. Just start bowling better.
Oh, God, too many third places.
Yeah.
That's fine. So our regular topic, our main topic here, is a kind of more or less the culture that has evolved. Because we just went over retro games and how kind of more or less how it started. And based on the games we could play, we can see where perhaps the military shooters started, the balls to the wall shooters happened with just plain adrenaline, to basically what we have today. And just the culture surrounding this aspect of gaming in just this genre alone. What are some of your opening thoughts, Kevin? And then we'll dive into Josh's polarizing thoughts.
I think the genre gets a little too much hate, if you will. I used to be on the bandwagon of when you get it really into this like video game community, like the popular opinion seems to be screw Call of Duty sucks, and then in turn that makes all shooters suck, which I think is a little like jumpy, because there's a lot of shooters I played, especially recently, that are good and they're campaign shooters. Everyone thinks that shooters go right to multiplayer and it's kids teabagging your mom and clans and all that, but like that's Call of Duty and Battlefield to an extent. But like I recently played Shadow Warrior for PS4, and I know it's a reboot of like another one of those like id Software like games. But like the new Shadow Warrior on PS4, that game was awesome. It had like
you played it actually for your channel.
Yeah.
I watched a few of those. Yeah,
a selfless promotion. Just throw that up there.
I know.
No, it's all right. It's but it was like a good shooter. It had a campaign. There was no multiplayer to it, so it was all focused on the campaign. But like the mechanics in the shooting were more focused on because of that, and the story. Right. It was a long story. Like it actually had like a pretty decent length to it. Like it wasn't just like you're some guy from America. Yeah, foreigners. Am I right? It was it was just good. It was over the top. It was gory, and I liked it. And then we were talking about Killzone a little bit before. A little more like sci-fi Halo-ish shooter,
kind of. Yeah.
But I think the campaign in that stands out. You can play the multiplayer in the bot zone. I really do like those, but there's all these other games that their campaigns get overlooked because Call of Duty and Battlefield dominate the market, and now Overwatch to an extent. So it just gets lost in the shuffle. I think it's a little unfair.
It's funny how you mentioned online community or just video game community in general has a lot of hate for first-person shooters. I don't hate FPS games. Mm-hmm. As I've just discovered, I found a new franchise that I'm going to try and dive into, the Medal of Honor franchise.
Worth it. Which
is something that I've actively avoided as a gamer because I think, military shooter, they're all the same. Why would I try something like that? But then we have what you mentioned earlier with Killzone, which is more or less sci-fi. If you were to separate FPS games, there's FPS games with a purpose.
Right.
And then there's kind of the blind adrenaline rush FPS games, which I think that it needs to be separated to what they are. Because we had Battlefield with story mode, we have Halo, we have Killzone, we have the Far Cry games,
which I love,
which a lot of people like.
I love Far Cry.
But when you ask someone who hates, say, the Call of Duty game, they go, "Oh no, but I don't hate Far Cry 4 or 3."
Well,
it's like, but they're the same. They're the same genre. It's a first-person shooter.
They are, but the thing about the community is every time somebody says I hate first-person shooters, you bring up Doom and they go, "I love Doom." I'm like, well, then so they're not all the same. Like,
right. So then that immediately gets rid of any argument they have, and that's kind of the culture we've been into, because the video game community or hardcore collectors think Call of Duty is a waste of time. Am I outrageous in thinking that?
No, you're right in thinking that, but
then you get into just normalcy, just normal society. Call of Duty is one of the most popular selling games today, if of all time, based on sales. I mean, there's release parties for these titles now.
I'd say I've definitely gotten stale of the multiplayer aspect of Call of Duty, but I've noticed a lot of people now are really liking the campaigns. And the campaigns, I will say, are nothing to write home about. Like, they're not like mind-blowing, but they're good. So it's nice to see that people are like kind of taking Call of Duty more like as a whole package now, instead of just like Modern Warfare blow up tactical nuke thing.
Well, okay, so going further on that, then some of the things Josh was bringing up before he had to duck out is a lot of these FPS games are the same. They feel very much bland, and there's no big change. And we were actually discussing a similar issue with racing games today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was this big influx of games, and then all of a sudden, everything's gone stale. There used to be, you know, 10s and 20s of franchise racing games, just like in first-person shooters. You know, you had the Doom, the Quake, the Unreal, Killzone. It just kept expanding, and now it seems it's only Battlefield and Call of Duty.
Well, the thing you get into is the thing we saw with early shooters in Doom, is that once something takes off, everyone tries to copy it. So you had Doom and you had Wolfenstein, right? Those laid the groundwork, but then everybody tried to do the exact same thing they were doing, even if themselves didn't know how to differentiate their other shooters. So when Call of Duty, I think around like Modern Warfare 1 definitely started the whole like America, war shooter thing. But then everyone tried to copy that and say, screw campaigns, my shooter's going to be online only, because everyone's playing the online of Call of Duty. But like a lot of people like the campaign of Call of Duty. Like, the multiplayer was just there after you beat it and like, okay, you know, now you can go mess around kind of thing. And then I think we finally have gotten out of that, like, mindset. Because now, like, when Fallout 3 came out, like, it was it's an RPG, whatever. But, like, it was a big, expansive world with a campaign, like, stuff to do. It was still in first person. It was still a shooter. And then I remember when Wolfenstein New Order came out, Bethesda was like, we're not having multiplayer. It's not about that. And everyone was like, this game's going to suck. What are you talking about? And then the campaign was great. It's just we fall into these trends.
Just talking about Wolfenstein New Order. Now that's a game I've been interested in. A lot of the reviews and even just just general opinion is the game starts off incredibly slow and then it picks up. But haven't a lot of first-person shooters with any sort of story start out slow?
They do, and that falls into that whole games being too cinematic for their own artsy-fartsy good trend.
I mean, shit, we played Halo in our very first podcast episode, and I had never played the first Halo before.
That game was so close to being good. It was like steps away from being a really good game.
Well, it definitely set the pace for something, didn't it?
It did, but then again, it started becoming more about the multiplayer, and that's a topic I want to go into hard. Yeah, we can. We'll get there.
You and I are both Killzone. You and I both love Killzone and the series.
Yeah.
And that could be argued as the Halo for PlayStation.
It definitely can, but this is
just on the fact that it's focused on the sci-fi aspect and crazy guns.
Yeah, it's a very competent Halo competitor. I think the other thing holding it back is that it tried a little too hard to be Halo. That makes sense.
Oh, maybe eventually, yeah. I could see that. So what a lot of these games, we see the theme with a lot of these games is first-person shooters. Is they start out slow, with the exception of the first Doom. The first Unreal, not too well received, but every game after that was great. Mm-hmm. You and I's opinion over the first Quake. Josh loves the game. But you and I go, well, I kind of just want to play the others because this game's very bland.
Right.
And then after that, the game it always seems like the first two sequels after that original game hit it so well, and then they go, and because people love them so much, then they want to keep playing multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
And then companies get this idea, well, people are only going to play the multiplayer. Let's just put out multiplayer, forget the campaign. But that was the original reason why everyone fell in love with the games in the first place.
But that's like a bunch of guys in a boardroom going, see, our game's so popular because everyone's playing multiplayer. It's like, because everyone's beating your campaign, you dumb. Like, now, of course, they're going to play the multiplayer because they like your game. And it's not a first-person shooter, but like Uncharted, those campaigns are wonderful, and everyone sticks around for the multiplayer, whether it be like average or not, because they like the mechanics of the game. And I think I think Killzone to a lesser extent, but you can't just base your game off multiplayer, because now your game is solely reliant on how much people care about it. You can make the best first-person shooter in the world, like Killzone Shadowfall. All right, that's a stretch, but I love that game. But they definitely made that game a little too multiplayer focused, and now that nobody's on multiplayer, it doesn't do anything now. So luckily, I think the campaign's decent, and that's there. It's got the bot zone, but the shooter has to be more. And just because it's a first-person shooter, there's that stigma of we gotta do death matches, we gotta do all this, but there's still a story to be told. It's like any other game, and for some reason, like, it's just guys in suits go, nope, shooters are all about shooting other players. We gotta do it this way.
Well, that can kind of then segue into how multiplayer's become, and with technology today, it's become this online clusterfuck.
Yes.
There's this whole society and culture now of people playing just this genre online. And Josh was saying this, kind of what everyone hates about playing online in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's very toxic. You know, it's teabag your mom, then clips online of a person going through a 15 kill and then teabagging the player on the screen, just saying the worst things imaginable.
Yeah, that happens. That comes a lot with the YouTube culture, but I think the very easy way to fix that problem is just mute fucking everybody when you go in a game. The first thing I do when I go in like a game in Battlefield is I mute everyone. I don't care if you're on my team. I don't want to hear it. Like, when everyone was like complaining that Battlefront wasn't going to have voice chat for PS4, I was like, good. I want to hear you.
Finally.
But the thing is, like, you can still party chat, and I only want to talk to the people I know anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah, and we're even seeing companies like Nintendo finally coming around on that. Yeah. But even then they go, we kind of want to keep the toxicity out of our product, and I can totally understand that.
And the thing is, shooters are accessible because, unlike a thing like a fighting game where like you kind of have to be good at a fighting game to play it online, shooters is you have a gun. Guns kill people regardless of what gun you have, unless it's like a rocket launcher. All you gotta do is point and shoot, and you pretty much on the same skill level as somebody else. You know, generally speaking. So they're easy to get into.
More or less.
Well, I mean, you know, you have to be skilled to snipe, but you know, a level 60 with an M16 versus a level 5, bullets are gonna do bullet stuff, you know?
Yeah, but then it becomes like, how you see this with a lot of games with in-game purchases through whether it's the in-game currency or people through PC gaming.
Hacking and stuff.
Hack it, mod the shit out of it, so...
Yeah.
It's I mean, we see a lot of this through... I mean, first-person shooters they begin and end with PC gamers.
They do.
And consoles are kind of in between. Do you want this experience to be to have longevity, or, you know, like you mentioned, it's just, it all comes down to those guys in the boardroom. Okay, we're coming out with Call of Duty Black Ops 600 on the PS4. There's not going to be any story mode, but we're going to have 5-player deathmatch with some sort of goal.
Right.
And that's your story. We'll give you something at the end, and that's something we've seen with Overwatch, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Those games really do rely on just how often people play, and the other thing that kind of sucks is they've really all become the same thing. Once Call of Duty started doing the loadout thing, now every online shooter needs a loadout. I don't like that. I kind of like the old Halo method and Uncharted 2 method of everyone starts with like a crappy gun, and then you find them around the map, kind of like GoldenEye. You know, like I liked in Uncharted 2, everyone had an AK and you ran around and found the better weapons. Like, to me, that was like something nice, but now everyone's blended into this one homogenous blob of like, well, they do loadouts, or we're doing loadouts. They do kill streaks. We got to have kill streaks. And like, They're losing their identity.
And that's kind of what Josh was mentioning, that everything seems to be the same and getting stale.
Right. And
what is going to be, and we've seen the same in racing games, as I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. What is going to be that game or franchise to finally make something fresh?
And on a multiplayer level, I totally agree with Josh. But on a campaign, single-player shooter level, I'm totally not in the same boat. A multiplayer, every game, more or less, shoot the other guys, capture the point, return the flag. You could put it in any shooter, and they're pretty much the same thing, right? But like, it's just storytelling. It's like any platformer. I could say Mario and Crash Bandicoot are the same jump on platforms and don't die, but like, it's the context of the game. You know,
it's the content. You're absolutely right.
Am I just rescuing Peach, or is there like a plot twist coming up or something like that? And I don't want to spoil Killzone's ending, but like, it was a very, like, for Shadowfall, it was a very generic, like, sci-fi, ooh, it looks pretty kind of shooter. But the end of that game kind of blew my mind. I was like, whoa, I did not expect my hero to, well, I don't want to say it, but like, it's still storytelling. It's just like the shooters have just gotten such a bad rap, and it's a little unfair, but at the same time, it's kind of justified because it's the dudes in the boardroom.
So just for this kind of topic, I ran some questions by people up in the middle of nowhere, Canada.
The whole country?
All ages, mostly males, because didn't really see any females way up there.
How dare you, you sexist pig?
Well, they weren't there.
Well, you hanging out in the men's bathroom or something?
Women can go in there now, no problem. Anyways. So I go, what kind of, I was asking people generally, cause, I have to introduce myself, and they're like, oh, what do you do in your free time? Well, I like playing video games, I go bowling, etc. And they go, oh, I have an Xbox One, or an Xbox. Mm-hmm. And as Josh and I speak about and joke about constantly, if you have an Xbox, you have first-person shooters, and that's kind of it. Mm-hmm. It's very, very limited.
That's fair.
So then I'd spur the question on, go, okay, what kind of games do you play? And they all pretty much said the same thing: the Call of Duty, the Battlefield. And if they had an Xbox, it was Halo. If they had PlayStation, it kind of varied.
Right.
But it really just came back to Call of Duty in the end.
There's a reason for that, though, because Call of Duty has a very arcadey feel. It's immediately quick to go online, go quick match, and you're in a game within like a minute. So it's very easy for somebody to come home from work. They only got like an hour before they're going out with their friends. So they just play a couple matches or two. The matches are only 10 minutes, so it feels like you're doing a lot in such a short amount of time.
Right, okay.
So like, I can get that. I think that's where Call of Duty gets its main appeal. Battlefield, the games are a little longer. So like, I feel like, and I mean, I'm generalizing, but I feel like people playing Battlefield like really are going to sit down and get into, even team deathmatches are generally longer, I think.
Yeah. Now, some other opinions that were thrown at me was I enjoy FPS games, but I would like to see more variety, and that's something we spoke about. Some other was they like how realistic the gaming is. You feel like you're actually in the war. That's just what some opinions were. Mm-hmm. And they like how the levels were different, and how some of the games, like you said, with the loadout, you can constantly change. You're not going through what seemingly is the same thing. Or some people just go, well, I don't like any other games. And the two games the two genres they threw at me a lot were fighting and racing.
They're two the same?
For games for genres that they didn't like.
Oh, okay. Well, also makes sense, because racing I can kind of see, because racing can get kind of broy if you get into like the Need for Speeds with the customization. But like fighting games, they're really technical if you want to know, like if you're really trying to know what you're doing. Fighting games get complex, so I can see that. I mean, you could go in and slap the controller and mash buttons. It works out for my girlfriend when she plays, but...
Right, okay. Now, some other ones, when I was living in Germany, I remember some franchises cropping up, like the Resistance series.
Very good series.
Incredibly popular, and then everything after that, the general opinion was everything's just generic. So maybe this whole military thing is a very much North American
Oh, definitely. It
ideal.
Definitely is.
Because in Europe, they all wanted some sort of reason to be shooting things.
Yeah, and that
which I found interesting in just a different perspective.
Well, that goes along with the storytelling thing. Like, I mean, I like Doom, and I like the whole, like, you're aliens, but, you know, I'm saving Earth. Like, it's something.
I'm doing something.
It's just, I really don't like just a game where it's just like, you're America, go shoot the foreigners, like, because that really is what every military shooter is nowadays, but, like, at least, like, in Rainbow Six, like, I felt like I was, like, part of some secret thing, like, I'm helping...
Oh, Rainbow Six is incredibly popular in Europe, especially Germany.
Well, and I can imagine why. There's actually, like, some strategy that goes behind it. You can't lone wolf it in Rainbow Six. You'll die. And you'll die fast. And that's kind of how a real military unit works. Like, you know, Call of Duty, you're more often than not a one-man army, and that's never going to happen.
Well, there's one franchise we haven't mentioned yet, and that's Counter-Strike.
I can barely call that a franchise, but yeah.
Well, I mean, shit, Counter-Strike Go is still going strong.
It is. I do play the original on the Xbox.
My best friend still plays it this day. He's probably logged in clear over 3,000 hours just...
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, just from Steam. It's crazy. Yeah, he's nuts. And he loves it.
But that has a time and place. See, Counter-Strike's fine because it's a multiplayer base, so you can really go in and just like, I'm shooting people because they're the counter-terrorists. Multiplayer-wise, I get it. But, you know, for like a campaign, I can't just be like, I don't know, shoot the guys that aren't on your team because that's
the joke. That's the joke that a lot of review sites use now is it's a first-person shooter game. It's more or less the same, followed by shoot everyone who isn't you.
Yeah, and that's it's pretty accurate. Have you ever seen the animation they made when Bulletstorm came out called Duty Calls?
It sounds familiar.
It's I was talking about Bulletstorm, which is a game I really should play more. It's making fun of Call of Duty, and every time the guy kills somebody, he goes, rank up, Sergeant Master Sergeant of Sergeant's Extreme, and like, oh, yeah. It's like doing all that. I'm like, yeah, I can see how people think this is what shooters are because like it kind of got to that point. But like I appreciate games like Bulletstorm where it's like over the top, wacky, you know, and like Shadow Warrior, I'm decapitating people and there's gallons of blood because. You need to break up the monotony, and it goes for any genre. Well,
I think you and I are definitely outside the norm in how we look at video games and why we play them. Mm-hmm. I found this article from the New Yorker from 2013, and it really tells a good kind of perspective from clearly, I imagine not a lot of gamers work for the New Yorker.
You never know.
But it was they kind of spurred the question on why can't people stop playing this kind of genre? And the quote goes, video games are essentially about decision making. What might be a very simple decision if you have all the time in the world becomes much more attractive and complex when you have to do it in a split second. The more realistic the game becomes, technological advances have made the original Doom seemed quaint compared with the newer war simulators like Call of Duty and Battlefield. It's much easier to lose your own identity in it. So that's very good points. I honestly couldn't agree more.
It makes sense. No, I get that. It's that whole first person perspective where you can be whoever you are. That's what separates first. Like I personally prefer third person because I want to believe I'm in a fictional world. I don't want to be putting myself in a war zone. I would cry. But you know. It makes sense, and I guess if people really want to escape reality, like I'm surprised there aren't that many VR first-person shooter games yet. Like I don't understand how that hasn't taken off.
Well, they're in development.
Yeah, but I feel like somebody would have had one ready to go. Like especially for.
And I'm actually pretty pumped for one of them that's coming out, but I digress. Yeah. One interesting excerpt from the New Yorker article that I'm here is there is a psychologist from the Czech Republic. Oh. That was doing research out of the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, mm-hmm. which is funny because I'm pretty much here now. You should go for anyways. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. It's Csikszentmihalyi or something.
That wasn't a word.
That's his name. Yeah, that's his last name. So, anyways, he kind of touches on how first-person shooters have brought on the same chemical reactions during play, similar to that whether it's gambling, a chess match, or simply a hike in the mountains. You get your adrenaline up and you want more, and you can't stand it being taken away by getting killed in 1 split second, which you have put in your mind as something that should not have happened.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that whole, and he mentions it's that same gambling aspect where you're on the craps table and you throw a couple 8s. Well, the third one's got to be another 8. I'm on a roll. And you don't throw the 8. All that adrenaline immediately goes away, and all you do is want it again.
I mean,
and you don't want to blame yourself for that loss. You want to blame something else. So that leads to a lot of the rage videos that we see.
Right.
A lot of the adrenaline coming out in people and just spouting just the worst things in the world.
I mean, I definitely see that point. I don't know. I guess I can't really disagree with the guy. I just think it really comes down to that, like it's kind of that arcadey nature, you know. I don't want to lose in an arcade game either. So,
well, I mean, it's accomplishing something and then have it immediately taken away.
Yeah.
So you have that 10, 12, 15 kill streak, and then with one kill it's gone. So all those endorphins and chemicals going through your body is just immediately taken away, and just like a drug, you want it back.
No,
and that's not inherently wrong.
No, he really worded that well. I can't even like.
Well, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not even quoting.
No,
here.
I know, but I get the message he's trying to say.
Yeah.
I guess it just I don't know. I've really stepped out of the realm of multiplayer shooters. So like campaigns really don't kill you as fast. I guess like you kind of have more control of the situation than you do in a multiplayer because people can jump around like idiots. But I don't know. It really is like two different worlds. Like a single player and a multiplayer shooter. Like they're almost different like genres to me at this rate.
I can't argue with the success of FPS games and what they've done with any sort of hobby or fun thing you do, as generic as that sounds. Mm-hmm. A lot of these, and this article goes into another person from Australia, a cognitive scientist, Naki?
I never heard of it.
Naki? Anyways, she goes on, the inherent feeling of playing video games is no different than someone riding a motorcycle. If you love it, you're gonna be triggered the right way, and if you hate it, you're gonna be triggered in the negative way.
I mean, that's kind of with anything, though.
Well, that's the point she made. It's really like anything else. Now, now, of course, it differs from person to person in how they react to certain situations, and that can't be blamed on a single source. Is what they.
Yeah, no.
What they.
I get what they're saying.
They talk about.
Shooters have become just a genre that have been. I don't want to use the word. Like
it's become a society norm.
It really is, and
that's the difference. At least I would like to make the point of than say our common action adventure game like Horizon Zero Dawn.
I love
as gamers, or Zelda Breath of the Wild, we all love them.
Mm-hmm. But they're too complex for some people.
But they're too complex for people. What's not complex is I have a gun. I can be all kinds of guns. I can be any gun, and I can kill this other person who that's not in real life.
Right. And it just I don't know. They are very simple because, like I said, at the end of the day, it's point and shoot, and you do the good job. There's not puzzles really generally in first person shooters. There's not some kind of overarching lore half the time, so it's something really anybody can pick up. But with that, and I don't want to sound like an elitist here, is you're right. It becomes like the gamers from the normies kind of thing. Like I tell somebody I'm playing a shooter, and most people are like, oh, it's pretty cool. Like I like shooters, but I tell like one of my like real into video game friends I'm playing a shooter, they're like, what are you, some kind of casual? You stop that right now. I'm like, but Shadow Warrior's fun.
Well, see, if I like to correct people all the time. They go, "Oh, I like shooters." Oh, so you like Gradius?
You do that.
I like fucking with them because I'm like, those are shooters.
Right.
What you're playing is a first-person shooter. There is a difference.
So what if you're playing a spaceship shooter in first person?
Ooh.
Now what? First-person shooter?
Ooh. It's a first-person shooter.
And that's the thing. We've actually, like, because shooters have become so normalized, like, the definition has changed. Like, we used to think of them as the spaceship ones. Now we say shooter and we immediately go to first person. But
right.
It's unfortunately a problem with everyone trying to make their own first person shooter. Things get lost in the mix. There are so many on, like, PS2 and Xbox alone because everyone was trying to do them. Like, you got your time slot.
Oh, we got incredibly saturated, just like what we experienced in racing games.
And we have them in the last generation. Like have you ever played, what is it called? Turning Point Fall of Liberty?
I've never heard of it.
How about Breaking Point or Fracture? Or, like, all these shooters that, like, granted, vary in quality, but everyone tried to make one to capitalize on the Call of Duty thing, and it didn't work. Unfortunately, your multiplayer goes so far. You need a campaign to back you up. No,
you need something there to give the gamer a reason to.
I don't know anybody that talks about a multiplayer shooter years after it's come out.
Well, no, they go on to the next one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
it's a cycle.
Campaigns are remembered, unless it's me.
I'll bring this up again. I picked Medal of Honor almost as a joke.
Well, now you feel silly.
And I ended up liking the game.
Because it is good, and it doesn't deserve to be shit on the way people do. Well, not that game specifically, but you know what I mean, the genre.
Yeah. The genre has its place. Now, just like in racing games, will we see this kind of flub?
Flub?
Yeah, where there's only two franchises. Call of Duty, Battlefield.
Oh, I see what you're
Will
saying.
it only be those two for the next while until finally this third game comes out to make those games become fresh? Otherwise, people will keep buying them because they're the only ones out on the market.
If you asked me a year ago, I'd say yes. But I think we're at the turnaround point where if somebody's going to make a shooter, it's going to have substance. And like that's why I think you're seeing things like the Shadow Warriors and even Resident Evil 7. Like, you know, it's got a campaign to it. There's more to it. The Fallouts. I mean, Fallout 3 was out there, but, like, you know, Fallout 4 was well respected. Battlefield 1, people talk about the campaign in that game more than the multiplayer. So I think we're coming around that corner, and we're finally seeing shooters like.
Do you think we already had that lull or flub? Is that what you're saying?
I think we already had it when around Modern Warfare 2 specifically. That's when I was starting to see a lot of, like, I'm just gonna crap out a shooter. People will like it, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. Like, I think we're seeing a lot of it. Like,
I don't think you're not wrong, because Josh mentioned it earlier. There are games getting remade and coming back over games that we've discussed on the podcast today.
Even BioShock. There's another one that I missed.
Yeah. I could see. Well, they're remaking Quake. Right. It wouldn't shock me if an Unreal Tournament somewhere around the corner.
It's that multiplayer shooters don't have their place. They do, but they're expendable. I think that's what I'm looking for. They're very throwaway. Oh, I think they're also cheaper to make too.
They
probably are
immensely cheaper.
Like Overwatch, I'm sure it wasn't. I know it's a big budget release, but once that game dies, I really don't think people will go, oh man, I remember those days playing Overwatch as a kid. Like, I don't think you'll get that. I think
we will.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of the higher tier ones, so maybe I could be wrong. But I think you're going to hear more things like I remember playing Fallout for so long because, like, you just got immense and lost in that. But, like, I don't know. I don't hear anybody talking about how much fun they used to have on Modern Warfare 2 now that Modern Warfare 2's died. But I could live in a weird circle of people.
I think you do, because I still hear about that.
Really? Okay.
Well, when the new Call of Duty was coming out, when Modern Warfare 2 Or was it 4?
Modern Warfare
Was bundled with it.
Oh, Infinite Warfare.
Oh, okay.
It came with the first game, yeah.
It came out with Infinite Warfare, yeah. I mean, people wanted the remade one more than Infinite Warfare,
which is fine.
So the demand is still there. The culture is still there. The culture is just as toxic as ever. Excuse me.
I guess it's there because, I mean, granted they're putting it out there, but I feel like if we just let Modern Warfare 1 die and they didn't bring it back, I don't think anybody would have been that upset about it, you know.
So I want to bring up one last point.
Yes.
Why? I have my answer. I want to know yours. Why do we see first-person shooters primarily on the Xbox platform? I'm taking PC out of it. I'm talking console-wise.
I will see last generation, definitely, because, well, you had Halo, which modernized the whole, or not modernized, but it really brought first-person shooters into the home. And then the controller for the Xbox was built like a gun. The edges felt like pistol grips. They had actual triggers. So I think it just fit. And then the 360 just sold more. So more people ended up buying Call of Duty on that. It's a word of mouth. One person was like, "Oh, Call of Duty 4 was great. Look at me playing online." And because they had a 360, their friend got a 360. So it just spread like that. And then now I think we're seeing it go the other way just because PS4 is selling more. I think it's just whatever's popular is what you're going to see. I don't think it's necessarily the console itself. It's just, the sheep go where the herd is.
So popularity is one aspect. I wanted to bring in the point. We don't see these first-person shooters come out on Nintendo because of the product. Mm-hmm. It's more kid-friendly. We don't see a lot original FPSs on PlayStation because it's a Japanese company.
Oh, that was it.
And guns are not in their culture.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And then you have to also throw in, let's take in Australia and then Europe in general. PlayStation sells much better over there than it does Xbox. Mm-hmm. You can even take the 360. Microsoft is an American company.
Yeah.
And when the general word of mouth, as you said, and popularity got around, yes, in North America, oh my god, everybody I talk to has an Xbox of sort and a number of FPSs to go along with it.
Yeah.
No doubt. But because it's so word of mouth and I like to think, I have no evidence to base it off of or research done, I like to think the harder gamer has a PlayStation or Nintendo more over an Xbox. And again, that's only just personal opinion and what I see. I'm not saying that there aren't gamers on Xbox, right. True gamers. What I'm saying is the general populace go for Xbox because of the word of mouth and popularity of first-person shooters. And that's also leading into why you see whenever you go into a used game store, or I was in the game store in Edmonton, mm-hmm. and while I was looking for games in there, 2 guys came in, maybe 18, maybe,
right,
max. They were talking about, oh man, I wish I still had my 360 so I can play all these old games. And they just proceeded to list off all these first-person shooters. And I was like, oh, but there's so many other games out there. And then they were looking at the original Xbox, and they go, oh man, what games are on there? Oh, they're so old now, you can't really play them. They're too expensive. And the girl working the desk, she goes, oh, we don't even accept Xbox 360 games anymore. We hardly accept Xbox because there's just so many. People just give them up because it's that general population that has them. And when they're done, they give them away. It's old technology. I want the new one.
It's really just whatever. I don't think there's necessarily a reason Xbox. I think it really is popularity. It's just my friend has this, so I play Call of Duty with him. And, developers just kind of go wherever things are selling. Just 360 came out first, too. Let's not forget that. So it had a whole year to jumpstart things. And then, once Xbox came around and did the whole, digital-only, sports thing, people got pissed and they're like, well, I don't care about that. So they went over to Sony, and now that everyone ended up getting a PS4.
Well, the gaming community got pissed. The general populace didn't care either way.
Right, but
because what drives I'm interrupting you again.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
What drives the console sales in the end is the avid gamer.
Yeah.
That's why we've seen Nintendo last so long.
See, I would argue the other point where I would say the market is more determined by the normies. Because, like, you know, it goes into, like, when we talk about, like, physical and digital, like, nobody, like, 20% of us are the people that are like, no, I would like my disc. Like, I want to carry it. Normal people don't give a shit. They just go with, like, okay, if game's out digital, I got to buy the digital.
Well, that's what I was...
Yeah, yeah. So it does kind of go with your thing, so I'm an asshole. But, like, they really just do it. Like, I have a varied group of friends where, like, I have my super nerdy friends, I got my YouTuber friends, and I got my friends who will play one video game a year. And because I diverge into all these groups, like, if I was the first one to get a PS4, so then, you know, my normal friends like, oh, you got a PS4? All right, I'll get a PS4 so we can play stuff. You know, and it's really I think the people that blend in a bunch of different groups, those are the guys that really end up like, you know, okay, now all my friends are getting PS4s, they tell their friends. So because a nerdy person like me was like, Xbox is being a bunch of dicks this generation, like, so I got a PlayStation. And then, you know, then I'll tell the normal friend to be like, hey, like, they don't care what they're buying. They just want to play Call of Duty or whatever they want to play. If it's on both, they'll get whatever their friends have.
They want to be in what's trending and popular.
Right.
Yeah. No, and Xbox is suffering for it. And that's when, who's going to be left when that general populace is over?
Xbox, I think I've heard Microsoft say they don't want to be in the console thing anymore. Which,
yeah, because they realize how if they don't please these people that will continue buying games, it's over for them. Right. And we saw the same thing with Sega.
They kind of want to be a more they want Xbox to be like a platform, really. Like, yeah, you can buy the box or you can buy it on PC, but like a game's a game kind of thing. Which
that's definitely where they're headed.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, it's not a terrible idea.
Makes no difference to me.
No, it doesn't. But I think you're probably gonna have somebody else come in the third console realm. It's like, if Sony has a monopoly, that's dangerous. And Nintendo is in the corner sniffing glue. I'm not saying their games, you know, there's an audience for it. Lately, I've kind of been off that train, but like, it's a different market. So you have like two very different things.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when I do see Microsoft and Xbox breaking off from this pseudo console war. And if history has told us anything, there's going to be another company that's going to crop up and make something.
Someone will be there.
Someone will be there.
Everyone likes to jump and say, like, oh, PC, like, what's the point of having a console if you get a PC? It's because, for lack of a better word, people are stupid. And if they go, I just bought Battlefield and my game doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, your graphics card is too low. That sounds too complicated. I don't want to deal with that. Like, unfortunately, consoles are going to be around because people are stupid. They go, disk in, system, disk work, you know? It's unfortunately how it's going to be. So consoles will be around, and whatever one's popular, the shooters will come. You know, because it's an easy market. It's, I guess the word casual is being thrown around, but like, it's easy to play a shooter. It's easy to pop it in a plastic box, and it's easy to get online with your friends. There you go. You know.
Yeah. So we're running a bit long here. I think we've said what we wanted to say.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, the culture's definitely there. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. I guess that pretty much ends it. I would like to name our next theme, which is my pick.
Ooh.
And I told Josh before he left, you don't know Kevin.
Yeah,
so,
I'm kind of scared because you guys were laughing about it.
Oh, so this is solely based off of a game I recently got when I was in Edmonton.
Uh-oh.
And I put that out on Twitter. So the theme is going to be possibly terrible horror games.
The
so the stipulation is it can't be it can't be a Resident Evil or a Silent Hill or anything. It has to be something that you think might be terrible. Hopefully it won't be. It's like you have this suspicion that this game might be pretty bad. So I'm going to name the first game on that we're going to cover, because I did get it already. It's out on Twitter.
Okay.
It's Alone in the Dark on the PlayStation, and it's actually the 4th one, and I had no idea.
Ah, gross. Don't do this to me. All right, I guess I'll look for
Possibly terrible horror game. So you'll be getting that in about a month due to all of our time constraints.
Yeah, let me... Man, I don't even know what I'd pick right now.
And you have to be within the 15 years.
That's the thing. I can't think of anything like that. I'm looking at like the Wii. I'm like, I don't fucking know. Oh, this is gonna be hard.
Yeah, so we'll be most likely playing some very obscure titles, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, but can we get a little leniency on the time? Because I'm trying to think. Like,
No.
oh, I hate my life. All right.
Now, the main topic we'll have some things to discuss. I was thinking more along the line of we have a modern horror game that we all kind of agree upon, and we'll just kind of discuss that one game as a main topic.
Okay, fine. Ah, man, I have no idea what I'm gonna pick for this now. I'm looking behind me at all my games. I'm like, stuff.
Yeah, so that should be a lot of fun.
Shit. Okay.
This was episode 5 of the Red Leaf Retrocast. This was our theme over first-person shooters. And I hope everyone looks forward to the next one. Kevin, final thoughts?
The Call of Duty's super cool. 420 MLG, blaze it.
Oh, God.
Look, I don't have thoughts. That was great. I only play first-person shooters, blow.
Damn.
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
That's the only thoughts I have.